Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Welcome, everybody, to the latest edition of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Along with G. Bush and Jason Lloyd, I'm Adam the Bull. It is the first day of December. Here we are.
Yeah.
Jolly crew.
Yeah.
Hey.
What is? There's nothing jolly about you at all. First of all,
That's offensive.
I'm about to give you a compliment.
Okay.
You're not fat enough to be jolly.
Right. I'll work on that.
You know, I can be jolly
We're-
because I'm
we're-
fat enough. You're not fat enough.
We're now into the holiday season, so I might
you
be
think you're
fat
getting
enough.
there?
I might be fat enough by the end of the holiday season.
There's goals for everybody to
That's
reach.
right. You got to work hard to look this good.
We've got Mike, Steve, and Anthony on the other side of the glass. Earl's around as well, and Jay was dealing with a hip surgery, so he was hoping to get back by today, but he's not ready for that. Go ahead,
I did
Mike.
hear from Jay this morning. He texted me.
Yeah.
And when Jay texts, he's a pretty quick texter, not a lot of words.
No.
He just sent me a picture today, and I'm in the middle of making my graphics, and I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah.
The PT working with Jay
Yeah.
is a guy on my men's league team
Oh, so
that
he's a friend
won
of yours?
the championship. Good buddy of mine, Corey Burke. And
All right.
I just see a picture. Jay looked like he'd never seen a camera before.
Yeah.
He looks like, and it's Corey smiling in the background, and he's like, hey, you know this guy? I was like, yeah, of course, that's my boy Corey.
Yeah.
And then Corey texted me, he was like, hey, I worked with Jay. And Corey is like 47, 48, used to play back in college at Xavier back in the day.
Right.
Like former D1 basketball player. And he's like, hey, my body's giving out. The fact that Jay at 60 plus is still playing competitive baseball, like he's a crazy psycho person.
nuts.
And I was like, he very much is.
It is
Very much
insane.
He is now officially retired, I think, right?
No chance.
He's just
He'll play again.
This man in his 60s was diving for balls in the outfield at the softball
I mean, are you
game
kidding
last
me?
summer.
This dude, like
He is never going to stop playing.
Laying out.
If I were him, I wouldn't stop playing either. He's in great shape.
My bones ached watching him
Yeah.
stretch,
man
flopping in the outfield. Caught it too.
He got that. He got that Bo Jackson hit.
Yeah, he's never going to stop playing. He'll be playing in a men's 80 and over league in 20 years. You know, the rest of the guys will be with walkers. Jay will still be diving for balls in the outfield.
Talking about. I listen.
Yeah.
I'm on a pitch count. I'm on 40 pitch count. Like this guy is crazy, man.
Gee, I know it's been a rough 24 hours. I don't know what you want to say exactly, but go ahead.
I want to shout out my family. All prayers are welcome. I lost my Aunt Joanne last night on my mom's side. And then this morning I got a call from my dad saying that my Aunt Dolores passed away as well.
Jeez.
So
Yeah.
we had 2 deaths in the family within an 8-hour period. It's crazy. So, you know what I mean? Hey, the holiday season comes, man, keep your people close and make sure you tap in. And I know it's just not me, it's a lot of people, people may not know, Jason and McNuggets, people have
Been a lot
lost
of deaths
people.
in our crew lately.
So
I don't know.
yeah, it was crazy. I was on my way in and my dad called me and I'm like, oh, I'm thinking he was talking about my one aunt and this. Now he's talking about it. So everybody keep your family tight around the holidays and cherish your people, and so we appreciate y'all out there.
All right.
I missed the Browns game yesterday. I was at a funeral.
Yeah,
With my family, so I didn't even go to the game. I watched the first half at home. Went to the funeral for my cousin and watched the second half when I got home last night.
Yeah.
Well, thinking of both of you and your families, it's obviously terrible. And it's so weird. When somebody dies, there's always this inclination to ask, how old were they? As if they were really old, you wouldn't feel bad about it. But no matter what the age of the person can be 105.
Sure, it's still sad.
Obviously, if
It's more
somebody really
devastating
young
when they're
dies,
young. It's more devastating the younger
yes.
they are.
But it's still, I guess when somebody dies, you never know what to say exactly. So I guess asking how old the person is like an easy thing to say.
Yeah, man, and I talked to my dad, and I just seen how he was, because sometimes you forget that your parents are, you know, your parents have other things outside of them being parents. Like,
Yeah.
you know, more than a dad, he's a brother and a husband and things like that. So, you know, I talked to him briefly before I came in, asked how he was doing, because, you know, sometimes I haven't lost any brothers or sisters, so that's a thing on a different level.
Right.
Even if everything else in your life is going well, you still lost a brother or sister. So, you know, he said it was kind of hard because he went up there, saw her like for Thanksgiving. He felt like she was doing good. So, yeah, it's tough, but you know how it is. You got to keep each other lifted up and prayerful, and you know, support each other during times. So, I'll give us here. We do that here a lot. We had a lot of things going through, so we appreciate it.
Yeah, and on a much lighter note, I hope everybody had a nice Thanksgiving. I'm sure, you know, we were on Friday, some of us, but hope everybody had a good holiday weekend. And now we move forward towards Christmas and the second holiday season. But
And Hanukkah. Give
Hanukkah,
a shout
thank
out.
you go. You got it.
We got Hanukkah.
Throw your
Hanukkah coming up. I
And-
think it starts on the 15th, I believe, this year.
And why is Kwanzaa always
Kwanzaa's
it's
left
always
out.
it's the third.
Yeah.
You got to be in it.
That's it. We got a
but I don't
Kwanzaa
know-
coming. We got Festivus. Some people celebrate that.
I've never met anybody who actually celebrated Kwanzaa though.
Nobody ever? I don't think I have either.
I haven't. If you celebrate Kwanzaa, tell
Yeah.
me what that entails in the
Yeah.
chat. Let us know.
Mike?
I
Let's
don't
talk some
celebrate
sports.
Kwanzaa. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
talk some sports, though. I wish it was a more enjoyable day of sports to talk about, not the catastrophe we witnessed on the football field here in Cleveland yesterday. We're going to dive into that. NFL Sundays move fast, guys. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. And with FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your live NFL bets all season long. FanDuel, the games moves fast, and so can you. All right, guys, we'll talk about Shedeur Sanders and the offense in a sec, but we're going to start with the special teams because that was an absolute catastrophe on Sunday against the 49ers. There were 4 unforgivable, inexcusable mistakes and 5 total mistakes, if you want to look at, from this Browns special teams unit. We put them in a nice little list for you. They allowed a 66-yard punt return, which set up the first touchdown for San Francisco. Gage Larvidan lost a fumble on a punt return. He also fumbled 2 other punts that he recovered. He had 3 fumbles on punts in the game, lost 1, recovered 2. You had Malachi Corley inexcusably catch a kick return at the 5-yard line instead of letting it go out of bounds. And then Andre Schmidt, after the Browns scored the touchdown at the end of the first half, kicks it into the end zone on the ensuing kickoff, allows San Francisco to start at the 35-yard line. Earlier, could have
I
been
won't
less.
kill him for that
Yeah,
one. That's the least egregious.
take that.
I didn't say, listen, they're
Yeah.
mistakes. These aren't ranked in order. The Malachi Corley catch at the 5 is probably number 2 if we're ranking them in order. But, G, you and I were on the live stream yesterday. We were losing our minds over some of these special teams mistakes. I'm curious what Jason and Bull think because at the end of the game, our main talking point was this special teams unit's an absolute disaster.
It's so funny because the special teams unit was terrible. Like 2 or 3 games ago, there was another game where they had I can't remember exactly
The
which
Jets
game
game,
it was.
they allowed the kick
The
return
Jets.
and the punt return touchdown.
Right. That's right. Okay. And then the last couple of weeks, they played a little better. Like you were getting some decent returns, no egregious mistakes. And then once again, a couple of weeks later, I mean, this was an all-timer. They lost this game mostly because of the special teams. And that was 90% of the reason they lost, or 80%.
I was thinking about that. The Jets game, you can like how many games has the special teams cost them? The Jets for sure.
This
That's on the
one
list.
in the Jets game.
The Bengals.
The Bengals to miss the kicks.
Yeah.
There's 2 wins.
Yeah.
This one, when you score 8 points, it's hard for me to say special teams cost.
Sure,
you the game.
offense takes some blame too, no doubt about it. But
So I don't know that I can put this one in that category, but those 2 for sure. And certainly,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not. Yesterday was atrocious on
yeah.
special teams.
All the Niners touchdowns were on short fields because of it.
Yeah.
Well, one was because
The fourth
down play.
But
yeah.
there's 2 wins right there.
Yeah.
That if special teams cost them wins against
Yes.
Cincinnati and the Jets for
And this
sure.
has consistently
and played a
been-
massive role yesterday.
This has been consistently an issue in the
Yeah.
Browns organization for as
years.
long as I've been covering the team.
Yeah. I
It's
know.
since Cribbs really. Since like early when I first moved here, you had what's his name was the special teams guy Tabor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Chris Tabor. And you had Josh Cribbs, and the special teams were pretty good, like 2011. And then it seems like when Josh Cribbs left, the Browns have been jinxed and have not had, and have had terrible special teams since Cribbs has been gone pretty much.
Those, when we looked at it, even the kick in the end zone, like in the scheme of things, is the biggest thing on that list. But you just look at the situation of football. I've grown up watching teams like Jim Tressel. I've grown up watching coaches, in my era where Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots won football games based on having great situational awareness, understanding what you need to do in the kicking game, and not beating yourself.
Frank Beamer used starters at Virginia Tech on
Beamer,
they were always great.
These guys made it a point and an emphasis that's how they were going to win. And when you watch this football game, we look at it, McNuggets is like 27 to 51 mile an hour winds at the bottom of the graphic. And so I'm like, okay, the emphasis has to be like, let's minimize things, let's figure it out. And I thought in the first half they did a decent job of just making sure that they were going to make this game like the Miami Dolphins game. They scored the points right before the 2-minute draft. Shedeur throws a touchdown, and it looks like you're going to be able to go into the halftime with an 8-7 win or an 8-7 lead. And you get the football back at the end of the start of the second quarter. You kick the ball in the end zone. That gives them an opportunity at the 35. They end up going down and ended up getting an opportunity to kick the field goal. They're up to 10-8 now. And
great play by Kittle to set it up. Nice catch.
I mean, it was a simultaneous catch. He did his thing, and it's like, man. So you come back in the second half, but the inexplicable nature of Corley catching the rock and had to get his feet in bounds to catch it. If he just has 1 foot out of bounds, they get it at the 40.
How many times have you seen a guy intentionally put his foot out of bounds when he catches it?
Right.
For that.
And it just don't. I'm like, what are you like? That's your only job, Bull. That's your own. Like, you've been working on that. How do you not know that?
That was. I mean, I didn't even know that. Like, the Browns have had a number of really stupid plays. The only thing I can think of stupider they've done was what's his name who jumped off sides on that play a couple of weeks ago.
Cameron Thomas.
This may be even worse than that. I mean, this
is a mental error.
This is one of the dumbest things I've ever. I don't know. I have no clue what he was thinking.
Yeah, it's a brain fart.
I mean, and Larvidan, he is. I can't put him back there anymore. He can't hold on to the ball.
3 times he put it on the turf.
I mean, that's just crazy.
This also speaks to, I don't know what the number is now, 12, 13, 14 rookies on the team, 6, 7 undrafted guys. Well, this is what you get.
Malachi Corley was a 3rd-round pick by the Jets, and they cut him after 1 year. So that, I know they're not a good organization either. But, I don't know, the guy... They have some stupid football players.
Well, that was a mental error. Like the muff punt return, of course you don't want that to happen. It's going to happen sometimes, especially with those wins. Do you want it to happen? No. Is it excusable? No. You got to catch the ball.
Yeah.
But that at least makes a little bit more sense than catching a ball as you're falling out of bounds on a kickoff. That's just a mental error.
And you can't have both happen simultaneous possessions. You can't. So the defense bails you out, right?
Yeah.
So that you end up. We almost got a safety on that play. And when he catches the ball inside the 5 or whatever the case may be, we punt it to him. And the defense does a good job, right? You're still down 17. I believe it was 17-8. You're still down.
Yeah.
Correct. It was a 9-point game. Yep.
So it's a 9-point football game. They punt the ball back to you.
Right.
You put it on the turf inside your own 20.
Right. That was the game.
That's game.
That was it.
That's game.
I don't know if the Browns were scoring anyway. That was the death knell.
And sometimes people say, well, not one play can cost you the game. There's some plays that, that's a wrap. You're not coming. When you are the Browns and what you're trying to do offensively and you got rookies playing and you're deficient. I thought another thing, we'll probably get to it. The run game looked solid. Jack Conklin goes out of the game, and then that was all she wrote.
Well, you had 3 offensive linemen in and out of the game.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
And then the whole thing. Do you know why Wyatt Teller was rotating?
I have no idea because I wasn't there. I wasn't at the game yesterday, so I don't have any insight on that.
Teller said post game.
Yeah.
And read into what you want to do. He said, "I knew all week this is what they were going to do." This was a strategic decision by Stefanski for one
He
reason
said,
or another.
I knew what they were going to do. He said that. Was that his exact words?
Well, is in the rotation. Like this was not a surprise that he was getting pulled every other series.
So they're trying to get guys ready for next year. Is that what's going on here?
I mean,
Jenkins is under
he's
contract
not under
for
contract either. So I have no explanation.
Sense.
I mean, listen, the line's been in shambles all year, right? Like Joel missed badly on the fourth line. I don't know what happened.
Joel and Wyatt are not playing well either.
But that hasn't been the tackles have been the bigger issue
Yes.
than the interior. So I was a little bit surprised by this because the tackles have been a 5-alarm fire, and the interior hasn't been great, certainly, but it's been better than
It's been serviceable, but not what we expected.
Yeah.
In the past.
Yeah. So I was surprised by what happened with the rotating. I wish I had a better answer. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wasn't there.
All right, we'll get into all of that, but yeah, special teams a disaster, Mike.
One more question on special teams, and we can move on. We'll talk Shedeur in the offense. We all liked the Bubba Ventrone hire when it was made. He came over from Indianapolis.
They made him assistant head coach.
Yeah, he was a highly
They were going
candidate.
to keep Prefer. They were keeping Prefer until Ventrone became available.
Right.
And then they fired Prefer and hired Ventrone.
Do you think he can survive past this year?
No.
Do you think they have to make a change?
You have to change.
No, you have to make.
You have to make a change.
There's nothing.
Like he may go on to be a wonderful head coach someday.
Yeah, it doesn't
just
matter.
because you're having all these gaffes now.
Right.
But at some point you got to have some accountability to
Yeah.
That's your unit. That's what you're responsible for.
Yeah, no, he's got to go.
It's not even like if it was missed kicks, I wouldn't even put that on him.
No.
But when it's coverage, when it's blown coverages like this, what else are you doing?
Yeah.
This has to be
Like-
your job and your assignment.
If a player catches a ball at the 5-yard line like that, he's coaching's playing a role in that.
Yeah.
I know it's a brain freeze, but come on, he's got to be coached up. It's got to be natural.
He
to
knew
know
as
that.
soon as he did it, he made a mistake.
Yeah, of course.
But
Doesn't matter.
And you know what? It's one of them things where. So Tyvis said something the other day, and he is like, "Listen, when I was at Ohio State, I used to be with Urban Meyer, and Urban Meyer used to do things where you was literally scared to make a mistake. Like I always found it. I always found it weird that the same people that used to play under Nick Saban, who could not, you couldn't step out of line.
Yeah.
They go to the league, and all of a sudden, how you a problem, and you play with Nick Saban?
Yeah.
The reality of the situation is sometimes you need people to be scared to make mistakes because that might be it.
And that's hard.
And the problem with the Browns, and you mentioned something, when you have young players, right? When you have young players and your players are young, and the best players that you got on certain positions is young guys, people on the team have a propensity to step out of bounds and do what they want to because there's no veterans that are like, not only are we veterans and you're not about to get away with that, but we are the best people on the team. So not only we're the best guys on the team, we are veterans as well. So when you look at the offense and you look at some of the stuff, people yelling back and forth and Jerry Jeudy and some of this other stuff and guys taking the ball and stepping out of bounds, that means you're not locked in. That's inexcusable. You are a return guy. Malachi Corley, you are in the league because you do special teams.
And he runs end arounds. Don't forget about those.
That's it. You forget about his end around game. Don't forget about that. But you can't do that because those little moves like that puts you in a position where it's like, and no disrespect to the 49ers, but there was times where the Cleveland Browns, I felt, outplayed the 49ers in certain aspects of the football game. But the 49ers, you know what they did? They understood the task and said, no, we're not going to beat ourselves and we're not going to actually, you know what? If the clock is going down, we're going to call timeout. And we're going to get to it in the right play.
We'll get to that. All right, let's switch gears.
Yeah, we'll get to that
Shedeur
part
in the offense.
coming up. Before we do that, we got to talk a little Shedeur Sanders, how he performed in his first career home start. And this topic's brought to us by Gametime. The World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994, and with 48 teams for the first time ever. It's going to be massive, but let's be honest, getting tickets is usually the hardest part. That's why the Gametime app is clutch, finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Gametime, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when great seats open, and buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. Take Take the guesswork out of buying your World Cup tickets and every match, concert, or event with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off off your first purchase. Once again, download the app, make an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, and go. Download Gametime today. Let's talk the quarterback position. Shedeur Sanders threw a touchdown, did not turn the football over against the 49ers. Bull, what'd you make of Shedeur's performance in his first career home start against the San Francisco defense that blitzed just once in the entire game?
You know, when we don't have a lot of days like this in Cleveland, but there are like 15 times a year where you don't need the air conditioning, you don't need the heat, you can wear shorts. You're not going to be maybe perfectly comfortable, but you can wear shorts. And my son refers to that as a nothing day. And that's what I saw from Shedeur Sanders. It was a nothing day. Like, he didn't do anything that stood out. Like, there was no plays that I was wowed by. He didn't do anything horrible. Like, there was nothing. Everything was, either okay or could have been better. There was nothing egregiously bad and nothing egregiously good. I give it a C minus. Wasn't a lot of pass attempts. Even the numbers were not impressive, obviously, because a good chunk of the passing yards, which weren't high, were done in that garbage time drive at the end. He can't take a sack on fourth down, which he did when the game was still in hand. There was one time.
People got mad at me for saying that.
Why? You can't take a sack on. Now he didn't have. That was the only play that he didn't have a ton of time, pretty much. But you can't. We've said that. You say that every time.
And it came right up the middle.
You can't.
It was right at him.
He saw it coming. He didn't have a lot of time, but you got to throw it. It's fourth down, so you can't take a sack on fourth down. But outside of that, again, there was nothing. He missed some opportunities, couple, but nothing egregiously bad. No egregiously bad decisions, but nothing. It was a nice throw to Harold Fannin. I thought that was a good play, but there was not one play that he made where I was like, "Wow, great play," and there was not one play he made where I was like, "Oh my God, that was terrible." It was kind of a nothing game. Didn't really change anything for me when it comes to Shedeur Sanders. Guys?
I look at the game. My thesis statement is the reason they lost the football game because of Shedeur Sanders' play? No. Did he have a stellar game? No.
And you got to score more than 8 points. I mean, that is the bottom line. So we'll point out the things I liked. I liked the throw to Harold Fannin Jr. for a touchdown. I thought that, I liked the way, they set him up for some screenplays. I thought the game plan got a little conservative and stale in the second half. I wanted to see more bootlegs. I liked the screen game. I would have liked to see some more misdirection things and to get them out of the move and to find some of those guys. If you ask me, I could, you take a look at what he did, 64% completion. Was this a game where it was like anything particularly wowed you? No. That happens when you got weather games. That happens when you get a ball away to teams inside their own territory. They're going to score these points. But is this a game where anybody be jumping up and down talking about, this is the proof? No. But I do think he was he was competent. He did what he was asked to do. There wasn't any egregious mistakes. If you had to, look at it and I had to squint and I say, all right, what would you grade it? I could go C+, B- and be like, okay, it is what it is. But in terms of the play on the field, I don't think it warrants anything moving back to Dylan Gabriel. I think that's a ridiculous conversation. And I don't think anybody would say that the reason the Browns lost the football game was because of Shedeur Sanders. I think he did some nice things, but it wasn't overly impressive, and I don't think anybody would say it was super overly impressive, including himself, who he said, hey, I got to play better, and I got to get things done better. Jason?
You know why you thought it was a nothing game? They aren't letting him play quarterback. They don't trust him to play quarterback. And until he plays quarterback, it's hard to say what he is or what he isn't. And I'm glad we have Brian Hoyer on today because Brian's the perfect one to talk about this. Yeah. When all you're doing is screens and quick game and it's this and it's I've been saying it for 2 weeks, when it's this and this and this, and then the Fannin plays a busted coverage.
Right.
He rolls out.
But what's the difference between this and Dylan Gabriel? I mean, everything was the same thing with Dillon Gabriel.
But with Dillon, they were trusting him to make some of the checks and some of the calls. And
are you sure that's not happening?
Yeah.
Okay.
But with here's the problem that we keep having. The bar is not Dillon Gabriel. That's not the bar.
Right.
The bar is competent NFL quarterback play, and can you lead a franchise deep into the playoffs and possibly to a Super Bowl? Yeah. Obviously, this is step 1, and that's step 100. Yeah. But we have to keep saying Dillon. Dillon has never been the bar here. Nobody has ever said Dillon Gabriel is going to be a franchise quarterback for the Browns. Yeah. So that's not the bar. It doesn't matter what Dillon can or can't do because no one has ever said Dillon is the guy.
I actually agree with that. I actually agree. Like, the thing that I want is, like, the Dillon Gabriel conversation, that is sailed. Like, at some point, you got to, like, I want them to roll out, get out of bed and say, listen, here's the playbook, let's go cook. Like, because obviously, if you got training wheels on it, it ain't going to do you no justice. It's not going to do the coaching staff no justice or the team. Because you want to see what a dude can do. If you're getting in the second half of the football game and you're not moving the ball and you just running on first down, running on second down, it's 3rd and 12. Like, that's not it. I want to see him be in the game, in the mix, putting the ball and putting it on his shoulders to see what he can actually do.
Now, yesterday probably wasn't the day for that because of the weather and the high winds and everything. Like, I think you texted before the game. So they're going to run the crap out of the ball. Like, Shedeur, this is going to be a nothing game for Shedeur.
And they ran it well.
And they ran the crap out of the ball because of the weather and because of everything else. But there has to come a point, and Tennessee certainly looks like a good opportunity with Tennessee coming to town. Now, again, we have to see what the weather is, to sort of give him more responsibilities. And, like, when I kept saying all year, like, he's not ready. You're seeing it play out with the way that they're calling the game and how much they trust him. It's not very much. But if he's going to be the quarterback going forward of this team for the rest of the season, all of next year, at some point, you have to give him the opportunity to make checks at the line, to identify the middle linebacker, to call out coverages, to stand in the pocket, and to deliver from the pocket in a regular offense, make tight window throws, throw guys open, all these things that good quality NFL quarterbacks can do. You have to give him the opportunity to see if he can do it or not. And the fact that they are not giving him that opportunity tells you what they think of where he's at right now. Well, it's not that they're sabotaging him. They're trying to protect him because they don't think he's ready for that. But are they right or wrong? I don't know.
I mean, but at this point in time, it ain't no time for no protecting. It's about to go out there and play it. I've always said this. The problem with this is here's where you at a disadvantage, and this is why I hate this. The Cleveland Browns hire offensive coordinators, right? But they're not offensive coordinators. Because in reality, they're limiting those guys too. If you're the offensive coordinator, what do you have the ability to do? I got the ability to draw the concepts up. I get the ability to come in here and understand where I want to see that person go, where this person go. The entire tailoring of the offense, it goes through me. When you give the playbook away in the middle of the year, what it does, it hamstrings the play caller because, yes, he can call the plays, but those aren't his concepts. Those aren't what that isn't what his vision is for the offense. And you have to have a vision. You have to have a succinct vision from top to bottom. I'm the play caller. The quarterback understands the vision. The receivers and everybody in the offensive line understands the vision. When you hand it off, you're trying to figure out how disjointed this thing, where are we going to get it? It ain't time to get on the same page. You know when the time to get on the same page is? In off season, in OTAs. You know when the time to get reps is? It's then. When you fumble the bag then, you don't got no time to be sitting in the middle of the season trying to figure out what Tommy Reese wants to run or what quarterback can get on the same page as a wide receiver. No, that's not what it is. So what the Cleveland Browns have to understand is when you build the offense the way you built it, and it's built on a house of cards, not no brick foundation, you're going to have stuff in the middle of the season where it looks nasty and guys arguing and moving around. It's supposed to be something where it comes from the top and understand what it is. If moving forward, I don't want no coach. I want an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator. That's what I want. So you can concentrate fully on what you are doing. Because right now, Tommy Reese is just calling plays that I don't even know if he believes in those.
But also, you talk about a brick foundation. Who's the foundation? What on this offense is a foundation outside of Quinshon Judkins?
That's another part.
And that's what I've been saying all year. It's impossible to get a fair read on who Dillon and Shedeur are when you look at what they have to work with. We talked all year about how awful the tackles are. Now they're trying to tell us that Wyatt isn't pulling his weight, which he's a multiple-time All-Pro. I'm surprised. Like, whatever, fine. Offensive line's been in shambles all year. We've talked. These receivers are horrendous. They're slow. They don't create separation. They don't make catches in traffic. So I'm sitting here telling you, I want to see if he can stand in the pocket and pick apart a defense and make tight window throws, while all the data says they don't have receivers who can create separation and make tight window catches. So what are we doing here? It's impossible to get a read on these guys.
Yeah.
Cedric
I
Tillman,
thought the offensive line actually played pretty well.
when Conklin was
They did,
in,
but they also
Yeah.
weren't being blitzed very often.
So
No, that's true.
In terms of that, I found this stat from Next Gen Stats. If you want to take it full. Yesterday, Shedeur Sanders had a 3.37 second time to throw for San Francisco. That's the longest time to throw by a Browns quarterback over the last 3 seasons. 3.37 seconds. San Francisco blitzed one time. They were able to generate a 36.7 pressure rate. But it goes to both points. Offensive line did a decent job of protecting. The receivers weren't getting open if Shedeur didn't trust what he was seeing, didn't see the wide open guy, and also he probably holds onto the ball a little too long. It's probably a combination of all three that
and
gets
here's
to that
the
number.
thing. The Niners told you by the way they played that they were not concerned
They don't
about
fear
Shedeur
the
Sanders.
Browns. No, they don't fear anything
and the
on
Browns
that
in
offense.
general. But just like they did with Dylan Gabriel, same thing. Nobody was worried. Here's the thing. Yes, there were times he held the ball too long. The Niners don't have a good pass rush, period. They're one of the worst pass rushing
They've
teams
had a ton
in
of
the
injuries
league.
defensively, too.
Right, but that's okay. But that's part of the reason.
Yeah.
But anyway, and the most telling moment was when the Browns committed a penalty on third down at like the Niners 30-yard line. I don't remember exactly where they were.
and they accepted the
And they
penalty.
accepted the penalty.
Yeah.
If you had a quarterback that you knew was really good,
You never give
you
him
would
an
never
You
accept
force
that
them off
penalty.
the field. You get them off the field.
Yes, you would never accept that penalty, and that told you they don't fear
Correct.
the quarterback
Correct.
and the offense in general.
Yes.
If you look at it, one of the things that I was talking about when I was doing a film breakdown is this. So there's an idea and thought process that you would blitz a young quarterback all the time. You would blitz him, you would blitz him, you would blitz him, right? But that's not necessarily the truthful part about it. Because if you're a defense that is a little bit limited and you don't really have any crazy playmakers up front or in the back end, actually what you want to do is you want to be in coverage. Because what you want to do is you want to make him diagnose and beat your coverage and matriculate the ball upfield. If you have a bad team and you have penalties and they get you off schedule, if they're not ahead of the chains, if it's 3rd and 10 and you don't have anybody that's threatening the field deep vertically, you sit back and you make them complete pass after pass after pass after pass to move the sticks. And what happens is even quarterbacks like Shedeur Sanders, when you blitz him and you give him an opportunity to go deep one-on-one, he may hit a ball to Isaiah Bond. They may grab a guy and get a first down or a penalty. So in general, you're like, well, no, we're not even going to give you that opportunity. Hey, you just worked, especially when the weather is bad, work your way up the field, dog. And by the way, you have nobody that's going to threaten us deep. So you got to, and then you got problems with guys catching the balls underneath. So I saw Cedric Tillman come out of a route, and me and McNuggets and Earl laughed. I said, Cedric Tillman looked like he had lead Timberlands on. Like this guy was plotting out of I said, what? There's deficiencies to it. If I was a defensive coordinator, I wouldn't blitz Shedeur Sanders like that. I would simulate pressure. And then I would say, all right, you diagnose what we're going to do.
Yeah, that's kind of what they did, and that was smart. And
I think it depends on the personnel. It depends on what you have, where your strengths and weaknesses are as a defense. The fan in play was a fine throw. It was a great, but that's a standard NFL. Any quarterback in the NFL ought to be able to make that play. That was a standard.
Yes.
He was wide open on a coverage bust. So there was nothing great about that. It was a fine. Like, I'm not taking anything away from him.
it's a play that
You gotta hit
can't start in the league if you can't make that
Absolutely.
You got to hit it.
That is a standard play.
Yeah.
Now, can you stand in the pocket and can you throw a guy open? Can you throw it into a tight window coverage? Can you
Right.
make some of the throws? Flacco had a throw against Cincinnati into the end zone, and I thought, oh my God.
Yeah.
That is a 15-year veteran type of throw that no rookie is going to make.
Yeah.
So there's degrees to this or layers to this, but at some point, you have to give him, if you have any hope at all of him being the guy, even just next year, like we have so many shows to do and so much to talk about future quarterbacks and where they're drafted and are they taking a quarterback and da-da-da-da-da-da. And if you want to try and build it out around the quarterback and draft a lineman and draft a receiver and then try and give him a year and drop a quarterback in later, you at least have to see between now and the end of the season, can he stand in the pocket and diagnose the defense, and can he make throws that a competent NFL quarterback can make? And we don't know the answer to that.
The Titans are the worst team in football.
Yeah.
You're at home. I don't even care what the weather is. You got to do it next year.
I mean, for people who hated Dillon, who crushed Dillon, and we're part of it, who crushed Dillon and said he's not it.
Yeah.
I texted you guys last night. The EPA per dropback, right? That's a standard advanced stat. It's a true metric of quarterback play. Dillon in 6 starts had an EPA per dropback of negative 0.19. Means the Browns lost
terrible.
They lost 0.2 of a point every time he dropped back.
Yeah.
You know what? I took out the Baltimore game. Throw away the Baltimore game.
Yeah.
You know Shedeur's EPA per dropback in his 2 starts? The exact same.
Yeah.
0.19. Yeah. Minus 0.19. The Browns are losing 0.2 of a point every time Shedeur drops back. It hasn't been good enough. But you have to give him the opportunity to actually play quarterback in the NFL to see if he can be a quarterback in the NFL.
You have to do that this week. You got to take
whether he's ready or not, whether you think he's ready or not. We're past that point.
Irrelevant.
Now. If he's the starting quarterback, then make him the starting quarterback.
And, there's a runway of situations like, my thing is we talked about it all the time. Dillon played his 6 games or how many games it was. Shedeur started 2 games. At the end of the day, it's time to get it going. Like, you have to give the dude the opportunity. Invest. Like, my thing is, you be talking about next year and all this other stuff, bro. You can invest in real time this week. Like you don't have to, you can invest and say, here's what we're going to do. We're going to put it on your plate. Show and prove, and let's cook.
Yeah.
And instead of we got the training wheels on and we trying to figure it out. And no, bro, just go. It's 6 games. How many more games of the season it is?
5.
It's 5 football games. Prepare to do. Let's get them together. And let me tell you this too. Give Tommy Reese the runway. Say, listen, you designed me something that you wouldn't run for 5 games. And guess what? It ain't like there's a limit on the time they got to be there. I don't care if y'all got to stay the whole doggone time and get it together. Yeah. Design what you feel comfortable with. I want to see for 5 games, you put your stuff on tape. You get the quarterback, put his stuff on tape, and let's figure this thing out.
Yeah. Next week it has to happen. We've played the Jets, who are terrible. We've played the Raiders, who are terrible. The Titans are probably worse than all of them.
Yeah.
The Titans are
the worst team in football.
I mean, who's their best skill position player? Can anybody name one?
It's their tight end, and I only know that because we made his stats this morning.
Awokum?
Chig. C-H-I-G is his first name. Chig.
Chig Awugum. Awugabugum.
They are the worst team in football.
They stink. They're absolutely horrid.
Yes.
They can't score. I think they're last in offense.
They are dead last. I made the comparison graphic,
and
the Browns are like 29th or 30th and everything. The Titans are 31st or 32nd.
Yeah, I mean, the Browns could pitch a shutout in this game. This game could be 0-0. I don't know. I mean, let's go. The offense has got to do something in this game.
I do have one more.
I expect Shedeur to play better. I want to see him play a good NFL game this week.
Yeah.
Take the training wheels off. Let's go.
Got one question for you guys.
Yeah.
On something Shedeur did, and then we're going to talk about the Jerry Jeudy Shedeur altercation on the sideline. But on that 4th and 26 play at the end of the game.
Ridiculous. Totally ridiculous.
Scrambled for a few yards, then slid.
Yeah.
I said on the stream, I was like, he's got to throw the ball or run. He can't slide. And then
it doesn't really matter. The game's over.
And we put the caveat that it's really irrelevant at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious, in hindsight now with 24 hours to think on it, do you still think I'm wrong in my sentiment that he just got to chuck the ball up or go make the play?
I'm of the mindset, look, throw the ball up. If I was grading it in a what's the name? If I was in a room and I was sitting there and Shedeur was back there and we watched the film, I might listen. I give you guys a chance.
Yeah, just throw the ball up.
I give you guys a chance.
It really didn't matter.
But in the scheme of things, I ain't going crazy. No. I'm gonna be like, listen, just give you guys an opportunity.
Can I do an experiment?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's do it through the Dillon lens.
Yeah.
Okay. So the wounded duck that he threw into the wind. The pet scrambled through it and it was fluttering.
Yeah, terrible.
If Dillon threw that ball, what would you say?
If it was 57 miles an hour winds,
everybody would be making fun of him. Yes. Everybody would be making fun of Dillon for that throw.
But here's what I'm saying.
We weren't talking about that.
No, but I'm just saying. But I'm getting to, if Dillon on 4th and 26 scrambles for 5 yards and falls down, we would be destroying him.
Here's what we'll say. So Dillon Gabriel, when that happened against the Jets, right?
I don't remember.
No. He actually took the game was in tow.
Yeah.
And he took a sack, right? And you're like, okay, you got to throw it. You got to get rid of the ball right there. I didn't kill Dillon Gabriel. I didn't kill him like, oh, listen, oh my gosh, you got to take. He had pressure in his face. He took the sack. Do I want you to throw the ball? Sure, I want you to throw the football. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. In this case, should Shedeur Sanders throw the football up and give a guy a chance? Oh, sure, he should do that. But you got to also understand, in my opinion, like, the game is over. Would I coach him towards that? Yes, I would.
I mean, you have to throw the ball there. You have to throw the ball when you get hit on the 4th down. It doesn't make any sense to run there. Obviously, once he ran, it was smart to slide because you don't want to take a hit in that situation.
I want to be, because I said earlier, Dillon's not the bar. He's not.
Yeah.
Dillon is not the bar that we're measuring. I'm just saying, when Dillon did things, we would make fun of him and destroy him and crush him. And when Shedeur's at it, it's like, oh, well, you know.
Well,
that's fair.
Here's what I will say.
I think that's fair.
Here's what I will say, though. I will say this. But we got to keep it real in both instances, right? I said this in the game. The problem where the juxtaposition comes from, there are literal people that said, if Shedeur does not play well against the Raiders, he may never play again for the Browns, and he may never get another opportunity to play. The problem is this. When the season started and we said we're going to give Dillon Gabriel his 6 games in allotment, I said, I want to see the progression. I want to see what he's doing from 6 games. We got to the first half again. We got to the second half against Baltimore, and there was already people writing Shedeur off because of the Baltimore second half. I said, well, hold on. We just sat here and watched Dillon Gabriel for 5-6 weeks have an opportunity.
And people were writing him off right away.
And so my thing is, I'm just trying to keep it consistent. If Dillon Gabriel has had some things that he did in his 6 games, then Shedeur Sanders should have the same opportunity and runway to go out there and put some things on tape and to see progression.
But I know I was crapping on Dillon Gabriel pretty much right away. I didn't think he was any good. I haven't been as harsh on Shedeur Sanders yet because I think he has potential. But if he doesn't play any better than he's played so far, you move on. That's it. That's
my thought process is I've always said this and been consistent.
Yeah.
Do I think Dillon Gabriel is a franchise quarterback? Do I think they took him too high? Yes, I do. But at the same time, you said you liked him. Put him out there and see what he can do.
Yeah.
Because he has an opportunity to change all our minds. Yeah. So here's your 6 games or whatever the games you going to give him, and we're going to judge him based on them 6 games. So even if I don't think that he is a franchise quarterback, I'm still going to say, you know what? You believe in him? Show me. Now, if you saying it was time to move on, give Shedeur Sanders the same runway, same opportunity. Now, after 2 games, put him out there and let's see his progression and show me if he's the guy. Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. That fluttering pass was ugly.
I mean,
and the win certainly is a factor.
Yeah, definitely.
My only point is if Dillon did that, he would be getting destroyed today.
You're right.
Some people would destroy him.
Go ahead, Mike.
We got to get to the altercation we saw on the sideline, guys. This next topic is brought to us by PrizePicks. We make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right gets you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement of the sports season, whether you're following the NBA, NFL, or both. There's no better time to jump in on the action. If you haven't tried PrizePicks yet, it's the simplest way to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and if you get them right, you win. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup, and you can play PrizePicks basically anywhere, including California, Texas, and Georgia. Download the PrizePicks app today and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after you play your first 5. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Guys, I would love to show you the video of the altercation on the sideline between Shedeur Sanders and Jerry Jeudy. I call it an altercation. It was an argument, a heated conversation, whatever the word you want to use to describe it is. We can't show the video, but I did transcribe the quote Shedeur Sanders gave when asked about it in his post-game press conference. This is what Shedeur had to say about the altercation he had with Jerry Jeudy. Quote, "This team is not going to be a microwave thing. We're going to have sparks here and there, but it's going to take time to be able to develop that chemistry with everybody, to be on the same page with Jerry. Of course you want to be able to get him the ball, but you got to understand it takes time. I'm more of a trust person, and that's just what it boils down to. So we have to spend time on task with all those guys and be able to trust and be able to see things at the same lens. A lot of time out there, I would say passing-wise, we're not seeing everything at the same, or certain guys aren't in the same spot that we've seen and we practice. Like, we just have to be comfortable and just make everything consistent." So he said it's a trust thing.
Yeah.
But what do you make of this?
I mean, guys yell at each other on the sideline sometimes. I got no problem. I thought, listen, everything with Shedeur is polarized one way or the other.
Yeah.
It's really annoying for the few of us who are trying to be fair about it, but it is what it is. I thought it was wild that everybody I saw on social media, and I know social media is not real life, and that's why I've tried to avoid it outside of game days, was quick to say, screw Jerry Jeudy, he shouldn't be yelling at our quarterback, blah, 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 and he's the enemy. And I was like, well, I just thought football players sometimes yell at each other on the sidelines. I'm not going to kill Jerry Jeudy. I don't know what happened. I don't know the whole story.
I think
you got a beef with him yelling at Shedeur?
I think you better make sure your own house is in order. And Jerry Judy's had a horrendous year.
Yeah.
So I think it's a bad look for him to be coming down on a rookie quarterback when he's been a big reason why the Browns are where they are with some of the drops that he's had. But, yeah, guys are going to argue. I mean, I think you talk about when I walked in the studio.
Yeah.
Peyton and Jeff Saturday got into it screaming at each other on the sideline.
Right. Guys,
but those are
the
also
heat of the moment.
But those are also established multiple times.
That doesn't matter.
No, but it kind of does.
All right, G, you speak it to
Now,
this.
watch
what are the sidelines like?
I got both sides against this thing. I did a blog that said, hey, man, Jerry Jeudy, you tripping. Let me tell you why. Take Shedeur Sanders out the game. Take his name out the mix, because like you said, when you take Shedeur Sanders' name and you put it in here, then people going to pick sides. But here's my problem what Jerry Jeudy did. I don't have a problem, per se, guys arguing on the sideline. It happens all the time. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, they're going to get into it, right? You know what I'm saying? That's just the heat of the battle. I've seen coaches go after each other, coaches versus players. So that's part of the game. The problem I got with Jerry Jeudy is, Jason, you've had 3 quarterbacks. There was a game against the Bengals where Joe Flacco hit you right in the hands on a 4th down play in the red zone that would have put the game on ice. You dropped it. There was another pass he threw in the same game. It bounced off your hands and it was interception. There was 5 to 6 times we said when he threw Dylan Gabriel, the balls that he threw that were accurate, that he actually put on the money, it went through Jerry Jeudy's hands. There were times where you point with other quarterbacks, why you stopped running on that route? You stopped running on a route last week. And then the problem I got is this. You just had one of the biggest blunders last week. I gave you a pass. I said, maybe you just had a bad day when you was talking to the media saying one-word answers. I said, maybe something going on in this family. I gave you, I ain't gonna kill you on it. I said, hey, get Jerry Jeudy involved. But then you catch the ball and you get ripped last week, right? Like doing some weird stuff. Mm-hmm. So my thing is, Bull, if you done had 3 different quarterbacks and all 3 of them done had issues where you have not been playing well, even if you do believe you're in the right there, you don't really have no room to be that level demonstrative. Yeah. You're supposed to be thinking about it. Well, you know what? Last week when I put the ball on the turf and cost our team some points, nobody went crazy on me.
Maybe somebody should have. Yeah, maybe somebody should have been yelling at him. Here's the thing, though. The only reason I don't kill anybody from screaming on the sideline, because I got to imagine I get worked up playing softball. I get worked up when I was 17 playing basketball. Yeah. I get worked up coaching my son's Little League, and every once in a while I say something to another coach or an umpire that I'm like, when I calm down, I shouldn't have said. Like, he's having a terrible season. He's miserable. He's angry. Yeah. Yes, you don't want to see him take it out on another player, but, gee, you know what it's like on the sidelines. You've been there for losing and losing and losing. Yep. Sometimes he's not rationally thinking, I shouldn't be yelling at my quarterback. It's a bad look. He snapped for whatever reason. It happened. It's not great. It's not great, but
I don't think it's a big deal. I'm not going to kill him for it. I don't think it's a big deal ultimately. No. I really don't. But it is a bad look for him because of the year that he's had. He's had a horrendous year. I agree. But in the moment, he's not thinking about it. Of course not.
Yeah. Am I sitting here saying Jerry Jeudy is a bad person? Am I sitting here saying that he's a cancer? Cut him. First of all, you can't cut him because he was contract. It is what it is. He's having a terrible year. By the way, I'm not saying none of that. What I'm saying to him is, look, it goes back to accountability. if you are going to be a person that calls people out for certain things, you got to also be a person that is willing to take responsibility. You know what I would have wanted to see him do? I would have had no problem with Jerry Jeudy if he did this last week. After the Raiders game, he said, yo, I went to my teammates and I said, yo, listen, I went to my teammates. That was a boneheaded play.
Yeah.
I don't know. I should have got upfield. I put the ball on the turf. I apologize to everybody. I got to be better. You know what I'm saying? As a leader and the number one receiver, I got to be better. If he would have said that, I would have said, okay, bet. Like, Jerry, that's what's up. And then this game, if he saw something and him and Shedeur got to have a conversation about what he saw I don't got a problem with you. I don't even have a problem with you being that heated. I got a problem with the fact that you have to be accountable just the same way you trying to hold other people accountable.
That's right.
And you got to think of Joe Flacco didn't yell at you when you dropped that pass.
Right.
Because the quarterback can't do that. The quarterback's job is to take all of the blame and all the responsibility.
Right.
So Dylan Gabriel was a rookie quarterback. He lost his job. Joe Flacco got traded. Do you think if Jerry Jeudy wouldn't have helped him a little bit, they might have still not been the quarterback at this point?
Certainly possible. No, that's fair.
So all
And
I'm
in
asking.
fact, Jeudy went the opposite. He defended what he did, saying he was trying to make a play.
So my thing is, look, accountability is a thing. This is what happens on young bad teams. Or is it a death sentence? No. But Jerry Jeudy was out of pocket, and hopefully behind the scenes, maybe there's a veteran or somebody that says, "Hey, bro, we just need you to. We know you can do it. Where's that dude from last year?"
Unfortunately, there's really no veteran that's going to do that.
If it was a more established player who's like an all-pro, Justin Jefferson,
Right.
we would be applauding it.
Right.
Like, look at him going after trying to put hold the rookie quarterback accountable.
Yeah.
This is a great thing. But it's because of who he is and the season that he's had is why I think he's sort of catching, scoring for it.
Any player would do it based on emotion, I think.
Yeah, you're right.
And that's why anyway.
And that's why it's not a big deal, because
that's right.
It's emotional.
That's right.
It is what it is. He's going to come out here. And by the way, Shedeur Sanders and him is probably running around eating food right now, laughing at it.
Probably true. All right, we're going to get to the Buckeyes. Big win later. Brian Hoyer in about 10 minutes, but go ahead, Mike.
I had one other question. We get Hoyer in 10 minutes, but in Shedeur's response to that question, he talked about he's a timing thing, right? Like, I'm a timing quarterback, that's how I build the trust. I need to have those reps with them.
I didn't really understand what he was saying in that quote at all.
Steve, take 309.
None of it made sense to me, but I don't know.
Take the quote again. I just want to read one little part of it. I'm curious if we parse out that little bit, maybe we can kind of figure out exactly what he's saying. But in the quote, Shedeur said, let me find this part. We need time to develop that chemistry with everybody. In the second line of the second paragraph, I'm more of a trust person, and that's just what it boils down to. G, when he talks about trusting his receivers, is that something that only comes from reps? Like, is that how you build that trust? And we know Shedeur hasn't had a ton of first-team reps. That was the whole storyline for the beginning of it. But does that what that boils down to? Is he essentially saying, I haven't played enough with Jerry for us to be on the same page?
He hasn't played enough with anybody.
Nobody.
And that's kind of what I'm asking.
Aaron Rodgers, I think, I don't know if you got watch nowadays. I saw a clip where Aaron Rodgers was talking about, how do you gain a level of trust and throwing the football with these receivers? He was like, well, in film,
show up,
right? Like in film, show up and figure out. And if I call an audible, you run the right route.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to try to simplify it. So when the quarterback is calling a play, right, he gets back for a pass to be completed. The quarterback has to drop back and read the coverage. The coverage won't cover 1, cover 2, cover 3, cover 4, whatever the case may be. Based on what the coverage is, the receiver's route changes. The receiver's route changes 4 to 5 different times based on what the coverage is. For it to work, the quarterback and the receiver have to see the exact same coverage. That is what we call the timing and being on the same page. We just simplify it. So if Jerry Jeudy is running a route and he misdiagnoses the fact that they're in a zone cover 3 and runs what he's supposed to do on a cover 2, then guess what? Shedeur Sanders is dropping back and he sees, oh, this is cover 3. If one guy is running a cover 2 route and one guy is throwing what the cover 3 look is supposed to be, you're going to have somebody in the wrong area and it's going to look crazy. So when you say getting on the same page, they got to see it the same way. The receiver got to see it. The quarterback got to see it. And then if you want to throw an extra component in there, the offensive line has to also see the coverage so they can give him time to throw. If any one of those components are off, you're looking crazy.
We're going to get to some coaching angles coming up in a little bit. It's interesting. Right now in the AFC North, you could make an argument. I know some people will say I'm crazy about this. You can make an argument that every coach in the AFC North should be fired at the end of this year. You can actually make that argument. I know some people will disagree with Tomlin and Harbaugh. I'm not saying it definitely should happen, and it probably won't in either case. But I can make an argument for it, certainly in Cincinnati and Cleveland, no doubt. But right now we're going to talk with Northeast Ohio's own Brian Hoyer coming up.
Yeah, we got to do a quick read. We'll bring in the former NFL quarterback to the show to help us break down what we saw yesterday. But first, a reminder that FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. NFL Sundays move fast, one big play, and suddenly everything feels a lot different. That was what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL bets all season long. FanDuel, the games moves fast, and so can you with FanDuel. And with that, Brian Hoyer, former NFL quarterback, Lakewood native, joins the show. How you doing today, Brian?
I'm great. How are you guys?
I'm feeling old knowing that you're 40 years old now, Brian. It's kind of...
Oh, man, don't remind me. That just happened a few weeks ago. Please don't remind me of that. I still feel like I'm 28.
Wait, I'm going to remind you, because what did you do to celebrate? Did you have a big get-together or something? What'd you do?
No, I actually did something I've wanted to do for a long time. I wasn't able to. I was planning. I went to Germany, went to Oktoberfest. So whole family went, full lederhosen. I'm a dual citizen on my dad's side, so have waited to do that for a long time. So it was probably the best 40th birthday I could ask for.
You know, Brian, it's weird. This is the first time I had an opportunity to ever talk to your interviewer. I said that the Cleveland Browns quarterback job is one of the most difficult jobs in the entire universe. Just being a Cleveland Browns quarterback, I kind of almost compare it to even with the Cowboys or the Packers or some other teams with rabid fan bases, because we are looking for King Arthur and somebody to take Excalibur out of the rock. It's like, what does it feel like to have the pressure and some of the things, because you went through it with Manziel, you went through it in some of the things that we see with Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders and Baker Mayfield and Deshaun Watson. How difficult is it to be a Cleveland Browns quarterback and then to kind of block out the noise?
Yeah, I mean, look, and you just mentioned my age. So I grew up watching Bernie Kosar, and thankfully he's doing better. And, I've been praying and thinking about Bernie through his journey. And when I was a kid growing up, I put on that 19 jersey and went out in the backyard and played. And just like weather that they played in yesterday, right? That was like, those were the days you wanted to go out and play football in the backyard. And so for me, it was a unique experience because it was something, everybody as a kid dreams of playing professional sports. Well, you dream of doing it for your hometown team. And I got that opportunity. And unfortunately, the first year I was doing it, it was taken away from me by that knee injury. And then you go and battle back and obviously have to deal with, trying to retain your job and hold off Johnny. And, it didn't work out. And it becomes tough because you're right. They're looking for the answer. And how many names is it now? 42 names on that jersey. Mine's smack dab right in the middle. Yeah. And it's hard because it's not always just about the quarterback, right? It's about the team that's around him. Yeah. It's about the coaching staff, the players, the management, the ownership. All of those things factor into quarterback success. And unfortunately, they just haven't been able to have sustained success long enough to let a guy kind of win the job, keep it, progress, mature, all of those things. And so it's, look, they're going to keep having to search it until they find it. And so right now I'd give Shedeur the rest of the season because you got to know what you have in this guy before you get to the off season. And so, it's to me, being a Cleveland native, look, I played for 9 different teams, more for the Patriots than any other team, but I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. I played for the Browns. I want to see the Browns do well. And until you can solidify that position, you're always going to be searching.
Brian, you just hit on it, and I've been saying for 2 weeks, eventually they have to let Shedeur play quarterback because to me, he's not playing quarterback yet. And it's a lot of screens, it's a lot of quick game. They're not trusting him to make calls. They're not trusting him to set protections, change plays to the line of scrimmage, stand in the pocket and throw the ball down the field and make tight windows. All that stuff that good NFL quarterbacks have to do. Am I off on that? Are you seeing the same thing I'm seeing, that there are so many seatbelts and guardrails? It feels like, I don't know if they're trying to protect him or they don't trust him yet to actually play quarterback in the NFL.
I mean, it could be a multitude of things, right? I think when I watched that game yesterday, the run game was working. And so, I thought giving the ball to Judkins was beneficial. You're right. There was a lot of screen passes. I thought the best play of the day, obviously, was the touchdown. You see it right there on the chart. And to me, having studied Shedeur coming out into the draft, the one thing that I thought he was going to have to improve on was not running out of the back of the pocket. Well, on that touchdown pass, he did a tremendous job, stepped up. It was a great play design. They kind of knew it was cover 4, carry the corner and the safety out with the post. Fannin, who I think is a phenomenal player, did a great job selling, like he's running the little stop route and then turned it up the sideline. And Shedeur did a great job, and there was time for him to step up. But some of the other times you see him and he drops back and it's like he's holding the ball. And really, I look back at it and there wasn't a lot of people open either. So I'm not going to blame Shedeur for that. But, at this point now, you see a lot of, and I thought they did a good job of getting him outside the pocket, moving the pocket and doing those things. But, and I wasn't there yesterday. You hear about the weather on the TV broadcast. So maybe that had something to do with it. But you're right. Look, the reality is you got to take the training wheels off. What is there, 5 weeks left in this season, and let him play quarterback. Let him throw it 35, 40 times a game if need be, and see what you have in him. Because the reality is when you go into this offseason, look, they traded back. They accumulated draft picks. There's going to be a few other teams that are looking for quarterbacks too, and you have to know, what you have in Shedeur. I think you've seen enough of Dylan Gabriel to understand where he's at. So I think this is a great opportunity for them to play Shedeur. Like you said, don't hold anything back. But I do think, he will benefit from having a good run game. You don't want to put this whole game on his shoulders. So it's a balance.
Brian, having to deal with the Johnny Manziel situation, and I don't want to compare Shedeur to Johnny because Johnny was a clown, and that's me saying it, not you, but whereas Shedeur's not doing anything like that. But there's a hype around Shedeur that there, in a way, was like same as Johnny, same as Tim Tebow, too. And maybe Tim Tebow's the better comparison for Shedeur because Tim Tebow didn't do anything wrong either, but there was a lot of stuff with him. How distracting is that for the team when that's going on?
Yeah, I mean, it can be. And I think the one thing, that's not Shedeur's fault, okay?
Right.
Let's just be clear here. That Shedeur was who he was. Whoever decided, which I know it's been debated, to go ahead and draft him in the 5th round after they had already drafted Dylan Gabriel, they're getting exactly what they asked for, okay? That's the reality. And then you go back to, like, the pressure and all of those things. Do you think it made Joe Flacco's job easier to have Shedeur? Do you think that it made Dylan Gabriel's job easier to have Shedeur back there? No, and like I said, that's not Shedeur's fault. Let me be very clear about that. The same way that it wasn't Johnny Manziel's fault that that the storyline was always about Johnny. That's who he is. The Browns organization, whoever was responsible for drafting these guys, those are who were responsible. So you know what you're going to get. And so I would say, does it become a distraction for a team? Only the team will know that. And I think, we can all sit here and judge Shedeur and how he acts and all of those things. And really all that matters is what the guys in the building and most specifically in the locker room think of him. And if they're good with who he is, then that's all that matters. He shouldn't even have to address other people questioning his personality. Look, when the Browns left, I don't know about you guys, but I rooted for players, and Deion Sanders was my favorite player as a kid. Yep. And so you have to remember, Shedeur grew up around the game. Shedeur grew up around prime time. That's what he knows. So I don't think that he should apologize for who he is. That's who he is. And I think people, instead of making a big controversy out of it, just accept it for what it is and realize none of this is Shedeur's fault, okay? The team that drafted Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round and then decided to draft Shedeur afterwards to throw that monkey wrench in the solution, like that made it harder for everyone involved because what is the first question everyone wants to ask about? Where's Shedeur? When's he going to get to play? And so it's hard enough as it is to play quarterback in this league as opposed to when you have a guy who's a lightning rod and not in a bad sense, it is what it is, to be in your locker room. So they have put themselves in this situation. Shedeur didn't put himself in this situation. Shedeur is Shedeur, and I think we all just need to accept him for who he is.
Which is why, Brian, I've made the point the last couple of weeks. To me, either he's the starter on this team next year or he's somewhere else because you can't do this again. You can't do this again with another quarterback. And it's every week the constant questions, all this crap about sabotage and everything else. This is not healthy for a high-functioning franchise, and the Browns have never been a high-functioning franchise. So it's pretty cut and dry to me. Either you commit to him, you see what he's got the last 5 weeks, and you commit to him next year as your starting quarterback, or else you move on from him.
Yeah, I agree with the part of committing to him for the next 5 weeks and seeing what you're going to get. Now, it would take. I mean, he would have to play. He would have to have like a Jimmy Garoppolo-esque when Jimmy first got to San Francisco 5-game streak for you to basically say, we're good. We're not going to draft like a Fernando Mendoza or a Ty Simpson, whoever emerges. I haven't gotten that far down the line of studying these guys in college. But Shedeur, you're right, would have to get the next stretch of games. You'd have to take the training wheels off. You'd have to let him just be out there, be the player that he is, and he would have to knock your socks off to basically be put in that situation. And I think, look, that's the dynamic, and none of us have to deal with that. The organization has to deal with that. How are you going to deal with the fallout if it doesn't work out? If he's not playing well, are you going to move on from this guy after only 1 year? And so who knows who will be even making those decisions? Is it Jimmy Haslam? Is it Andrew Berry? Is Stefanski still there? And so you made a good point. Like, stable organizations don't do this. And somehow you have to figure out a way to stabilize that organization. And it's going to start with making this decision, because it's the most important decision in all of sports, is who's playing quarterback.
Yeah.
Brian, what would you say? I look at this team, two of the glaring weaknesses that I look at is wide receiver, offensive line. Selfishly, as a quarterback, what would you take? An elite offensive lineman or an elite receiver? Which one makes your life better for you?
Man, that's a tough question. But you know what? The thing that I would say, and this is like just from experience, in New England, when we were successful, I would say we always had an elite offensive line unit. We didn't always have, we weren't like Cincinnati that had Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Now, we had Gronkowski, we had Edelman. But the reality is, it doesn't matter how good your receivers or tight ends are if you don't have time to throw the football. And a lot of that is game planning and the coaches and how they design things. But man, I would say, and for example, let's look at the Chicago Bears, Caleb Williams. What did they do? They invested in a lot of pieces around him, but they invested heavily in the offensive line, right? They go out and they trade for Joe Thuney, they signed Dahlman. Like, I think Ben Johnson has an understanding of, it doesn't matter how many weapons we have on the outside. If we can't protect this kid, then it's really not going to make a difference. And so for me, if you're the Cleveland Browns, I think first and foremost, you try to invest and build in that unit. That doesn't mean every guy has to be a first round draft pick. You can easily attract offensive linemen in free agency or trade market. And then I would think you would go and try to accumulate talent on the outside through the draft, and obviously you can do that as well through free agency. But man, I think I'd have to side with my offensive lineman here, because it makes it so much easier when you can have time to throw the football, and if the plays are designed well enough, then you go through the reads and you have time to maybe get to your third progression because your first two guys weren't open. So I think I'm going to have to go offensive line.
Brian, whenever there's a sack, fans always blame the offensive line, which in some cases, obviously, but sometimes it's the quarterback's fault, right? I mean,
yep.
I know you were a quarterback, but what percentage of the time would you say, ballpark, it's the quarterback's fault when there's a sack?
Well, I would throw in the skill guys as well. And,
sure.
And I heard you guys talking before I got on and making sure you're on the right page. Is it cover 3? Is it cover 2? I mean, I can think back to a handful of sacks where, I'm expecting the receiver to break out. He turns in, you pull the ball down, boom, you're sacked. And so look, the beauty of football and the beauty of offensive football as opposed to defensive football, you need 11 guys to do the right thing on a play to be successful. And that success could be an 8-yard completion. Okay. Mm-hmm. On defense, if one guy messes up or falls down, but he's away from the play, you kind of don't notice it. And so that's the one thing I would say offensively, it takes all 11 guys to do their job. And so, I mean, it's hard for me to put a percentage on it. Sure. I'd be willing to say 50-50. It's not always the offensive line. There's times at the quarterback, you may not start your read in the right place. Or as I mentioned before, you go to throw the pass and all of a sudden your receiver slips or he doesn't run the right route and now you got to pull it down. And so I don't think it's fair to say, even higher than 50% that it's on the offensive line. I think it can go to the play caller. Like, when I was here when the Browns played the Patriots, I was here in the game. I mean, look, everybody's going to struggle against Myles Garrett. They're trying to chip him, do everything. I mean, that guy is a freak. And so sometimes, you may have – look, I think we could all agree Trent Williams probably one of the best left tackles in the game. Mm-hmm. What he did to Trent Williams yesterday, I mean, thank God I'm not still playing and having to go against a guy like this, because someone that big should not move that quick, that fast. I mean, Trent Williams rarely gets made to look like a fool, and Myles Garrett did it with such ease. So it's all encompassing. I would say it's easily 50-50. And the biggest thing that I learned throughout my career, you have to have an internal clock. You have to have an understanding of the play. Is this play designed to be a curl flat and I'm going to take 5-step drop and get to my second hitch and get rid of the ball? Is it going to be a shot play and take a shot? Like when the Patriots played the Browns, they hit that shot to Booty on the left side. They waited till Myles Garrett was out of the game. And so that's Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator, basically having a sheet on his a section on his call sheet, plays when Myles Garrett's out. Someone tells him in the helmet, Myles Garrett's not in the game. He goes immediately to that play. It's a touchdown. So it's really, that's the beauty of football, is it takes everybody to be on the same page and do the right thing.
All right, Brian, I'm glad I get to ask you this question because you played with half of this group. So more impressive, this month stretch that Myles Garrett has had where he has 14 sacks in 5 games or whatever, or Josh Gordon, that 4-game stretch with you guys where he had about 800 yards and 6 touchdowns in 4 weeks?
Man, I'm going to say Josh Gordon, because that takes a lot of people to be involved to be able to get that done. The quarterback, the offensive line, just like we just talked about, him catching the ball. I mean, Myles, you just put him out there. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he breaks the record in the next 2 weeks. He's just he's so good. And even knowing getting double teams and things like that, he's truly incredible. But I would say, he doesn't have to rely on anyone else to get that done. Whereas Josh, with multiple quarterbacks, the offensive line's got to protect, and it takes more people to accomplish that. Myles, you just put him out there, even against the best left tackle in the league, and he's still going to get his.
Could Josh have been a Hall of Famer if things had played out differently off the field?
Yeah. No, look, I mean, and I got to play with Josh here again in New England, and one of the most talented players of all time that I've ever played with was Josh Gordon. And so always just wishing him well. And I saw that he was on the podcast with Johnny recently. So, but yeah, definitely. Look, my first start that year was Josh's first game back. And I think all you need to do is go back and look up the statistics. I think I targeted him like 14 times. So that's all you need to know about.
Smart move.
When I got the chance to play with Josh.
Man, you know what? So this is a unique opportunity because you did say you played most of your career with the Patriots. And the Patriots during those time periods are always known as a team that was button up, special teams, didn't hurt themselves. And obviously the Cleveland Browns for a long time have been known as a team, not so special teams, penalties, you know what it is. You've been in both places. Can you articulate what is the difference between teams that traditionally don't hurt themselves, are solid special teams, and teams that for whatever reason seemingly can't get out of their own way? Is it a mentality? Is it a culture? Culture means a lot of stuff. But what would you say is the difference between those teams and other teams?
Yeah, I mean, 2 things immediately come to my mind. One, and this may look, Cleveland, Bill Belichick was the last coach there before they left to go to Baltimore, and I got the opportunity to play with him. And one of the greatest things I ever took away from him was he would have this quote, and he would say, "You can't win until you keep from losing." Mm-hmm. And you think about that, and you hit it right on the head. Like I look at that game yesterday for the Browns against the 49ers. You fumble it on 4th and 1 with Fannin playing quarterback. You have the muff punt, which, by the way, every time I look at number 84 for the Browns, all I can think of is Webster Slaughter. I don't know if you guys feel the same way.
Yeah.
But Bill, that was the standard. You cannot win until you keep from losing, and we practice that way. Look, if you fumbled a snap in practice, you were taking a lap in front of the whole team. If you jumped off sides, you were taking a lap. It was accountability to the highest level. And then what happened was over years, because they had such continuity, the players enforced that. And I would say, the teams that I've been on that are successful, the culture is enforced by the players, not by the coaches. The coaches set the culture a long time before I ever got in New England. And when I got there, obviously, the greatest player of all time, Tom Brady, but guys like Matt Light and Kevin Falk and Teddy Bruschi, guys who maybe weren't as heralded as Tom Brady, those guys set the standard. And if you didn't meet the standard, they were going to let you know about it. And so it's one of those, it's a catch-22, right? The coach has to be able to install it and be there long enough to have players that enforce it. And I'll say this, I played for 9 different teams. The level of intensity and the level of accountability and expectations on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday in New England were never matched anywhere else I was. If things didn't go well in New England, we would start the entire practice over. It didn't matter if you were, halfway through. I was in other places, it was not a great practice. People were like, we'll figure it out later. We'll fix it. Like, it doesn't get fixed. Okay. And so the one thing that I would say about New England, as opposed to every other place I was Bill set the tone and the players enforced it. And the standard was never wavered. That's the biggest thing. And so it's kind of like you have to have the coach who can do it and then get it going. And then you have to have the players that can get it going as well. And, when you have a head coach and a quarterback for 20 plus years, it's pretty easy to do.
Brian, last thing. I'll never forget, you beat the Bengals on Thursday Night Football in 2014. You guys improved to 6-4 after that
First
win.
place. I
thought
remember
it was 7-4.
No, they lost the next game, then they won the game after that, I think against Atlanta to go to 7-5. But I remember after that Bengals, when I got on the air that night on the radio, I said the Browns are going to the playoffs, lock it in. Now, obviously that didn't happen, but here's the question I've been waiting over a decade to ask you. It was a great season. I want your thoughts in general on how fun that season was, at least for the first 3 quarters. But do you believe, or do you know, I don't even know if you want to say, that, because I've been convinced for years that Mike Pettin had his hand forced to bench you. I can't believe that he wanted to bench you. I think his hand was forced by the front office, ownership, whatever, to put Johnny Manziel in there. What say you?
Yeah, it was a tremendous year. And you want to talk about the highs and lows of the NFL. You talk about that Thursday night game. We go down, we whooped Cincinnati's butt. Yep. And I just mentioned my favorite player as a kid was Shedeur Sanders. So Thursday Night Football, I get up on stage. I'm in front of the crowd. I'm doing the interview. And to my left is Deion. And you know what he said? I don't know if you remember this. Man,
yes.
The Browns need to pay this man. They need to pay. And I was like, this is incredible. This is like the greatest moment of my life, other than the marriage, marrying my wife and the birth of my kids. And 3 weeks later, I was benched. And so, look, I will just say this. When I went to go meet with Coach Pettin, I went up there and he said, look, I've been fighting this battle for a long time. Okay. He's like, there's nothing you could have really done about it. And self-admittedly, I played poorly for a 2 or 3 week stretch. Yeah. So, that led me to believe there was forces above him that, and look, this is not a secret, right? Ray Farmer was fined or whatever for texting from the booth. Like that's what I said earlier. It's very hard to play this position. It's hard when people who don't really know what's going on in the meetings, at practice, they want to have their hand in who's playing the game. So whether it was the marketing, whether it was the front office, look, there's a reason Kyle Shanahan went in after that season and asked to be released. Okay, yeah. So you guys can put those pieces together. I wish it would have worked out. It would have been. Look, it would have made my life and my family's life a lot easier to just stay in Cleveland, right? But I'm thankful for the way my career went. I'm thankful that I had that opportunity. I'll never forget, running in the tunnel after those home games when we won, and that was, fulfilling a childhood dream. So it was great while it lasted. And like I said, I'm a Northeast Ohio kid. I always want the Browns to do well.
Hey, real quick, out of all of the Browns coaches that have been through here, Mike was the one guy that I thought, he probably had a chance. He could probably have been a pretty decent head coach.
I agree.
I think he was so broken and has so much PTSD from his time here, he never wants to do it again. But I'm just wondering, could he have been a solid NFL head coach? I know I'm putting you on the spot. It's not like you're going to say, God, no, he was terrible. But he was the one guy that I thought, man, I really thought I liked him and I thought he had a chance.
And I'll tell this backstory, and I think I told it when he got hired, but, when I tore my ACL against the Bills, Pet was the defensive coordinator of the Bills. And so, we win that game. I'm doing my rehab, and you go and, I got a piece of mail at the facility, and it had a Buffalo Bills logo. And I opened up, and it was this handwritten letter from Mike Pettin saying, hey, I'm sorry you got hurt. I wish you a speedy recovery. You were playing so well. It was tough to prepare for you. Fast forward a year later, he's the head coach, and things were going pretty well. And I think we were talented. I would say that year losing Alex Mack was very detrimental to the success of our offense, because that system really needed a solid center. He made all the calls, the running game, and finally the teams realized we couldn't run the football anymore. And so the play action and the explosive, the boots and all that stuff kind of ran dry. But I think had Pettin and Kyle stayed, whether it was me there or not, I think with the right situation, the right quarterback, we've seen what Kyle's done since he left Cleveland, right? I think that combination could have definitely got the Browns to the playoffs. I'm sure Kyle would have left at some point to be a head coach, but no, I always loved Coach Pettin. It was great. Obviously he was a first-time head coach, and I think he there's that famous clip of, he's telling Kyle to run it, and Kyle looks at him. He's like, all right, run your best play. And it was this pass play. He kind of, it was in a way, Kyle was the head coach of the offense, and Pet was in. Look, we had a lot of great. Jeff Hafley was on that staff, right? Bobby Babbage, got a lot of guys who went on to do great things in the NFL. So it definitely would have been interesting to see if we had gotten to year 2, how that would have went.
Yeah. Brian, you've always been a complete class act, a total pro. You represent your hometown in this area so well, even when knuckleheads like me are screaming and yelling, you got to be better, you got to do this. Mm-hmm. Thank you for taking the time today. We appreciate it, man.
Appreciate you.
Of course. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Brian Hoyer, class act, great career. Played in the NFL a long time.
Had a very nice career.
Like 15 years. Yeah. It takes a lot to play in the league. 15 years. He's
always
a good dude.
Played against his teams because his Ignatius teams played against him a lot at Camp McKinley. Yeah. It's always good to see guys from their hometown get an opportunity to play with their home team. Class act, good dude, and we appreciate it.
And obviously, Pettin had his hand forced, which we kind of knew. We assumed.
Yeah.
And he admitted, his play was tailing off a little bit. Yeah, he wasn't playing that well, but 100% he gave him a better chance to win than Johnny Manziel.
Absolutely.
Johnny Manziel gave him zero chance.
Johnny laughs about the fact that he never opened his playbook.
Johnny's such a class. He handled it with such class because Johnny has badmouthed him.
Yeah. What do you expect?
I know.
When
Johnny's such a piece of garbage. I don't like that guy at all.
You can't say like listen, I was a dude who liked Manziel coming out, and then when he had to come out and say, look, I feel bad for wasting Joe Thomas's time. Yeah. And then he had to come out, and then he said this, which really got me. He was like, Brian Hoyer wasn't even trying to get me ready. Yeah. I'm like, what are you talking about, dog? What are you?
Ain't his job.
Total clown.
You can't just say somebody should have got you ready and you admitted 2 weeks ago you was in the club like the night before and was getting drunk every night. Like, stop, bro.
And I remember when Deion Sanders said that. Do you guys remember that?
I do. I remember that game.
I don't.
Yeah,
I remember that game.
I remember Dustin went on a tirade that week about let's sign Brian Hoyer, and he said 3 weeks later he gets benched.
It was by Halloween. Crazy. It was Halloween. I remember the graphic.
Crazy.
Life comes at you fast.
Such a good guy.
All right, guys, we got 2 more topics from yesterday's game we got to get to. This next one's brought to us by Gametime. The World Cup coming back to North America for the first time since 1994, and with 48 teams for the first time ever. It's going to be massive, but let's be honest, getting tickets is usually the hard part. That's why the Gametime app is clutch, finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Gametime, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when the great seats open, and buy tickets the moment they hit the app. Plus, it puts the power back in your hands, giving you the chance to make getting World Cup tickets realistic. Take the guesswork out of buying those tickets and every other ticket with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, download the app, make an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, and go. Download Gametime today. Guys, the Browns had 2 4th-and-1 calls that did not work yesterday against the San Francisco 49ers. On the first 4th-and-1 attempt, it was the first half, Quinshon Judkins got tackled 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage, didn't have a chance. Yeah. In the second half, as the play was unfolding, we were sitting here on live stream saying, what is going on? Call a timeout. This is a disaster. They're not set. They snapped the ball with half a second left on the play clock. Fannin fumbles. San Francisco recovers and ends up scoring.
Didn't matter if they recovered or not. It would have
been you're right. Anyway. It didn't matter, but San Francisco ended up recovering. and scoring. Do you guys hold Stefanski responsible for those 4th and 1 failures, or does that go on the players for not executing?
So here's what I would say about the first one is an execution failure. What are you going to do? I mean, like, I'm not. Is there even an argument? Of course you go for it on the 4th one.
I mean, Joe Bitonio just missed a block.
Yeah. The second one.
And Conklin.
Yeah.
Conklin was like Superman flying through the air.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Judkins has been playing well. There was no reason to believe that. And
missed a block.
That first one was in 49ers territory. I don't remember where it was.
Yeah, they were
exactly.
like the 31-yard line.
Yeah, that was it.
Like that.
So the second one, a lot of people got worked up that they went for it, period, there. I had zero problem with them going for it in that situation because it was like fourth in inches.
I actually thought watching it back, I thought they got a bad spot because he was like.
Yeah, I thought he almost got the first down, or maybe
he was like an inch away. And when they marked it probably about 2 feet, so it was about 4th and 2 feet.
Right.
I mean, what difference would it make? You fumble the snap.
To me, I'm going for it there because.
You know how I read that?
Yeah.
F it, we're 3-8.
Exactly.
What we got to
That's
lose.
right. You got nothing to lose.
Yes, I mean it's kind
of. You got to be able to get that.
It's kind of insane to go for it on your own 30. It's mildly insane.
I have no problem with it.
But when you're like, we're 3-8.
What do you got to lose? But here's the thing.
Jesus. Go ahead.
This is where I blame Stefanski.
This is crazy.
You have to call timeout there.
Yes.
Because they had an offensive lineman running on the field with like 15 seconds to go.
Yep.
The referee stopped them from getting the play going. And by the time you have a tight end taking a snap, you can't rush a play like that.
Correct.
So of those 2 plays, my only beef with Stefanski, and it's a big one, is that he didn't call the timeout there.
I would have punted. I just said F it.
So you got 2 beefs with him.
Well,
you would have punted. I don't care. I would have gone for it.
I would have punted. You're on your own 30. Even if you make it, even if you make it, you have 70 yards to go.
I hear you.
I think I understand what he was saying of
right,
F it.
but you
We're 3-8.
have to call timeout.
You have to call timeout.
Have to.
I actually didn't have it, and I'll let you go. I didn't have an issue. I know it's going to sound insane with the tight end. They did this with Harrison Bryant for years.
I don't have a problem with it either.
This is what they've done.
But you can't rush it with the tight end.
When you rush it, that's the first time he's done it, correct?
Yes, I think.
And you're doing it from your own 30?
Yeah.
So I don't have an issue with if Fannon's going to be their short down quarterback sneaker. Well, they did it for years with Harrison Bryant. Nobody said a word.
I hated it then.
But when you combine it with the fact that you rushed it, you're on your own 30, and you're doing this for the first time,
then it ended up being a
then
disaster.
it's mildly insane.
He deserves blame, no doubt.
So I've always had a problem, and we go back to the Harrison Bryant, and I've been screaming about this for 3 years. I don't understand what his infatuation is with tight ends and handling the football. They do not. You got to think about this. I get it, but tight ends do not handle snaps under center. I'm not taking, mind you, I think Luke Whippler was the backup quarterback, the center in the game at the time.
Poachich had come back in.
Okay, Poachich is in.
Yeah.
You got a tight end in an inclement weather game taking a snap in your own end zone, in your own territory.
Yeah.
No, I'm not taking.
Well, and rushed, which was the most egregious part.
And I'm not taking the quarterback out of the game. If you're going to do that.
Well, he was in the game. He just wasn't.
Yes, he's not handling the snap.
Would you have been okay with Judkins taking it there?
No, I don't want nobody under center taking no snap, because the center exchange in a muddled up thing, you got to understand. When you're getting that scrum in its condensed version, it's a lot of bodies. So now the center, there's somebody over the center. There's a reason why when you do kickoffs or when you do field goals, you're not allowed to hit the center. Right? The center has to now snap the ball with grown men, 3 of them in the A-gaps. And now you're having Harold Fannin Jr., who's not used to taking those snaps.
Right.
The biggest egregious part of it is this. Kyle Shanahan, in 3 opportunities, the 49ers got out of the huddle late and looked like they didn't know what they're doing, or the clock was running down. You know what he did? Timeout.
You have to. That was
he got his team in an opportunity in the right play. They were 3 for 3 on those third downs that they needed to get. It was pivotal. In that place, all you got to do, Kevin, when you see him, because you're not calling plays no more, when you see it, I need you to be locked in on the time management. If you see guys trailing in, they had to stop a lineman coming in. Guys had to get up and shift over there. No, timeout. And then you can decide. Maybe you don't want to do it and you punt.
Or maybe you come in, get another play and run something different. But you can't.
It's too pivotal in the game
Yeah.
to give the ball over inside your 30.
And if you blow it, well, the game's over, so you don't have the timeouts don't matter anyway.
Right.
So you got to use the timeout there. Did you have a problem just in general with them going for it?
It's risky, but look,
Yeah.
I'm a gambler a little bit. If the running game, here's the thing, if it was a regular play where Quinshon Judkins was getting the rock and I got the quarterback to taking a snap and we just gonna live what we gonna live with, I got a problem being cute. If you're going to run the ball, put it on your best player, your best runner, and get the snap off unless he mano a mano. But I'm not going to get tricky and put Harold Fanning Jr. to take the snap. I don't like what he does with tight ends, period. I don't understand infatuation. I don't get it.
I hear you. I could live with the tricky. I could live with it. But I can't live with it tricky and rushed.
Well,
I can't have tricky and rushed.
It ain't the last time you're going to see Harold Fannin take the snap from
that's
outside.
true.
This is clearly going to be when they go to the quarterback sneaker, he's going to be the guy.
I don't
because with Deshaun didn't like doing it. He didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
So they went with Jacoby, and then they went with Harrison Bryant.
Jacoby.
And now it's going to be. Yeah. I mean, you can't have Dylan doing it.
There are a bunch of teams that use the tight ends as their short yardage sneakers. Kelsey does it in Kansas City. Andrews does it for the Ravens. We saw him in that little fake sneak against the Browns.
I'm probably in the minority that I don't have a problem with it. I don't like it. I can't do it rushed. I can't have a tight end take a snap rushed.
Him not calling the timeout was criminal.
Yeah, that was just ridiculous.
It's not like that's the first time. I'm sure they've ran this all year long. It's not the first time Fannon's ever taken the snap in practice. Eventually, you're going to have to do it in a game. I just wouldn't want to do it for my own 30 is the first time.
It
doesn't make sense.
It's a combination of three. Let's run it for the first time on a 30. Let's have people run it in late. And then let's do it like at a position in the game where, like, you're only down. How many points are you down at that point?
It's 10-8, wasn't it?
It was 10-8. Yeah.
It's 10.
Oh, it was 10-8. Right. Yeah.
And
that's why I would have punted.
And it's a nasty weather game, Bull.
If you're 10 yards further up, 15 yards further up, all right, maybe. If you're at the 40, 45, you're at your 30. They're already in field goal
I love
range.
it. I love the aggressiveness.
I usually do too. I usually like going for it.
I understand. It was already risky to go for it. Yes, a minority opinion.
Real quick, Bull. On this, Jason, I'm curious if you think the fact that the Browns' special teams have been such a catastrophe earlier in the game, including allowing the 66-yard punt return and all the other mistakes, played a factor in Stefanski saying, I don't trust that unit. I actually trust my offense to get half a yard more.
If memory serves, they had the wind at their back on that play. So with Bojorquez's leg, he could have really boomed it.
So that was another one because the wind, they flipped the field position, right? Yeah. Like they could have punted. Like they had the wind at their back.
I think they did.
Yeah, I think you're right. And, by the way, there was a criticism of Kevin Stefanski, and I've obviously been very critical of him this year. But there were people complaining on social media. Again, I shouldn't read too much on social media, but whatever. That they ran the ball too much. Okay, for years we've been fighting with everybody that they, and now he ran it a lot. They ran it successfully.
He's not even the play caller, and they're still killing him.
I didn't understand. I didn't understand the complaints about running it too much. It was effective.
It's 30-mile-an-hour winds, and
again, they were running well.
When I say eventually Shedeur has to play quarterback, yesterday was not necessarily the day for that because of you saw Purdy struggle too with some of the wins and everything else.
His numbers actually was kind of identical to Brock Purdy's numbers.
Purdy played better.
Yes,
Purdy played better,
but
he didn't have great numbers.
Here's the thing. I think when you talk about running the football, there's ways that you can do it. In that position where you got Harold Fanning Jr. in the game, you've been running the wild dog. Listen, give me an extra lineman there. Give me Quinshon Judkins and let him figure out and give me a yard. If you're going to run that, fine. You've seen it, and we've seen what we could do with that. In terms of people saying that they ran the ball too much, I don't have a problem with the runs. I got a problem with the sequence and the way that you mix it in and basically saying, okay, I don't like run, third down and 10. Run, third down and 10. I don't like that. I need more movement. I need more easy things that I can get. Not sit back and shotgun a third and 9.5.
But, Mike, what was their average depth? I feel like they had less long third downs yesterday than they normally do. Am I right about that?
I don't have that number on top of my head. I could find it for you in 1 sec.
I don't know. I thought
it felt like it was more third and more manageable.
Yes,
but
I thought so.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking up that ball. I want to read these quotes for you.
We got to get to this because this had me losing my mind yesterday. I was fighting the entire internet.
I would love to play the exchange. We cannot play the exchange anymore. So I had to transcribe this into quote cards. There was a question in the post-game press conference. Scott Petrak, I believe.
Scott Petrak,
asked
yes.
Shedeur the question. This is the question and response, and then the follow-up and response.
Okay.
This is what happened in the exchange. Scott Petrak asked, on those 2 4th and 1s that didn't work, did you like Kevin having the aggressiveness there, even backed up in your territory? Shedeur responded with, quote, I mean, first, that's a rude question to ask if I think it was a great call by my coach. Then Scott responded, did you like the aggression? Did you like the call? Shedeur's answer to that was, quote, I like being out there, so whatever that comes with, it comes with. We're not going to be here and ever point fingers at no coach or do anything like that. That's extremely disrespectful, and that's not even in my place. So I'm thankful for being out there, honestly, and I'm thankful that he trusts us as an offense to be able to go out there and to be able to execute. Did we execute? No, we didn't, but I'm just thankful that we have had that trust. Bull?
All right, so most of what he said is fine. I don't care. Here's my beef with this whole situation. Because, of course, everybody now decide. Once Shedeur said that's a rude question, which was not a rude question. It was a completely normal question. Do you disagree, Jason?
No, not at all.
It was a completely normal question. Then everybody decided that Scott Petrak was looking for a gotcha moment for Shedeur Sanders.
It's ridiculous.
Can I tell you something? If anybody out there, give me one example. How long has Scott Petrak been covering the Browns?
20 years, 25 years.
Give me one example of Scott Petrak in 20 years asking a gotcha question. All right? And people were like, Bull, you're just defending the media. Jason, who craps on the Cleveland media more than me?
Nobody.
Nobody, all right? I can be a total D-bag to people in the Cleveland media. If I think a media man or woman asks a stupid question, I will be the first one to say it. He was giving Shedeur a layup.
Yep.
He tried to alley. That's what Scott Petrak did. Scott Petrak was alley-ooping Shedeur, and Shedeur blocked the ball. That's what happened. Now, it's not that big a deal, but Scott Petrak was giving Shedeur a chance to say, of course, doesn't every quarterback want their coach to be aggressive?
Yes.
Go ahead.
The last third of what he said is all he needed to say.
Yes.
I love that my coach had faith in
Beautiful.
us. Sorry we couldn't get it done, or whatever it was. That's all I had to say.
Yeah.
You look like you're looking for a fight when you say that's a rude. It wasn't a rude question. There was nothing rude about it. Cam Ward was asked basically the exact same thing yesterday.
How many
after the Tennessee game.
players have been asked that a million times?
It's a standard.
If Shedeur
question.
had not said it was a rude question, if he had just given the rest of the answer,
Yeah.
nobody else would have said it was a bad question.
No.
Nobody else. It became a bad question when Shedeur said it was a rude question. It was not a rude question in any way. That's why Scott was so taken aback and said, no, I just mean the aggressiveness. Scott Petrak doesn't ask gotcha questions. He is not that type of guy. I don't know him that well.
I do know
but I
him.
know him enough.
He's
You
a
know him
pro.
much better than
He's
me.
a freaking
He's
pro.
not asking gotcha questions. Stop it. I'm not saying people don't ask gotcha questions. There are people who do ask gotcha questions. And maybe if it was another reporter, I would have agreed. But Scott Petrak doesn't do that.
Let me give you some context.
Yeah.
So here's the context.
Okay, go ahead.
We'll start with this. I don't believe Scott Petrak. I know him well enough to know that I don't think it's an I got you question, right? Here's the thing. This goes back to last week.
Right.
Both two things, when you take a look at it, they both play into one. So then when they asked the question last week, Shedeur Sanders, does your supporters think that you're trying to sabotage Kevin Stefanski, right? And so he says you're trying to start trouble, right?
Right.
That whole thing happens, people go crazy.
Right.
Now, he says, bro, I don't control that. I don't control what my people are saying, how we're doing. Listen, I'm just here. I'm trying to get ready for the game. Now, you come into this thing, when you have people ask those type questions, right? There's a tendency for you to get defensive. Here's the thing. When you're talking about the coach, at this point, with Shedeur Sanders in a better eloquent way was saying, listen, man, I'm a rookie. I'm never going to question whatever my coach wants to do. Whatever he want to do, I'm not going to question it. But you guys keep asking me about this stuff about my coach and Kevin Stefanski. That's not my place.
But that wasn't an unreasonable question. Quarterbacks can ask that all the time.
But what I'm saying to you is you got to take it into consideration of what happened prior to that.
Why? It was one question. And again, that was not an inappropriate question either.
Listen,
Kevin Stefanski was asked the same thing.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Listen, if you take a look at it, I'm giving you why he said that was a rude question. And sometimes you can say something and it could be not meaning that it was talking about you specifically. You could just be in a situation where you like, man, listen, it's the heat of battle. I listen, y'all stop asking me questions about my coach, right? And if you think about it, I think halfway through the situation, he's like, listen, guess what? I'm not trying to be mad at my coach. I'm just happy to be out here.
Right, but nobody was asking him to be mad at the coach.
But what I'm saying is half of what he's saying comes from the context of he's in a position where they're opposing it. You damned if you do, you damned if you don't.
Not.
Watch, hold on. Because before last week they said you could have just answered the question and said you could have backed up for Kevin Stefanski.
Right.
You could have stood up for Kevin Stefanski last week.
Yeah.
And you didn't do that because that person asked you and it was a layup. You should have just said, no, Kevin Stefanski is not sabotaging me. That's what Jay wanted you to say. And he said.
And by the way, if he really truly believes Kevin Stefanski was sabotaging him, if he truly believes that, I would not have had a problem with him saying it. I would not have ripped him for saying it if he truly believed it. Now,
if he said that, you know good and well he's getting canceled for that.
100%. No, nobody gets. Everybody that complains, nobody ever get. Who's actually really been canceled, by the way? All the people that say.
So what
Cosby?
I'm saying. Yeah.
Only Cosby.
Right. Like he kind of What I'm saying though is.
Yeah.
If I don't care if Shedeur Sanders said exactly what he meant in that moment and said, you know what? He is trying to sabotage me. He's not, people would say he's a 5th round pick. He's not that good on the football field and it's not worth it. We just sat here and talked about it.
Yeah.
Like if he doesn't play well, the stuff that comes around him, people are saying he can't even be a backup because it ain't worth it. So what he's saying to you is, look, man, I'm happy to play. I just want to go out here and play. Whatever, it's the coach's decision.
Right. But gee,
should he? Let me. I'll give you this.
Go ahead.
I'll give you this.
Yeah.
In the hindsight, should he have picked a better word than saying rude? Probably, right? If he would ask about it, I think he would say rude wasn't the best word. He could have said, "Listen, that's inappropriate for me to answer. Kevin Stefanski calls the plays. I go out and execute whatever Kevin Stefanski wants me to."
But in the end, he wasn't even asking him. All he said is, "Did you like the aggressiveness?" And doesn't every quarterback want the coach to be aggressive? Like, why would he?
What quarterback doesn't want to go for it on 4th and 1?
Right. Exactly. So all he had to say was, "Of course I want to go for it." Yeah, that's it.
Here's the thing, but
he's not the only quarterback that gets asked that question.
But here's the thing: we just established that we said he has a article and a news base and a celebrity and a polarization that is second to Johnny Manziel and Tim Tebow.
Right.
So
I don't know if it's second. I think it's
the first. So anything he says, whether it's Rex Ryan, whether it's the coach, whether it's what cleats he wants to wear, it's going to be blown completely out of proportion.
He's the one blowing it up by saying things
it
like it's
nothing.
a rude question. You're looking for what did he say to Shedeur? I don't remember what he said to Shedeur.
Yeah.
Something about you're trying to start trouble or something like that. You are making it more than it needs to be when you say things like that.
But I agree he was starting trouble. Hold on. I completely agree. Here's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I completely agree. When you ask me about my supporters, like I got cult followers or something.
Well, he does.
Listen, I don't control those individuals.
Okay,
I don't answer for people.
But this question is you could make an argument that the Shedeur question shouldn't be asked. I think it was fine, but you got at least admit this has nothing to do with his supporters. This is him saying, Scott Petrak was 100% saying, "Don't you love it when your coach is aggressive?" To give him a chance to say, "Of course I love it." If Shedeur had answered the question, can you bring up Shedeur's quote again, Mike?
Yeah, 1 sec.
Because if Shedeur had answered Scott's question without the first part where he said, "That's a rude question."
So this was the first response. I mean, that's a rude question to ask. You want the next one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Start the answer at, I'm thankful for being out there, honestly, and I'm thankful that he trusts us as an offense to be able to go out there, be able to execute. Did we execute? No, we didn't, but I'm just thankful that we have that trust.
If he would just said that.
There's no headline.
There's not even a story. It became a story because of his answer.
I think what he was actually trying to do was he said, before I was told that I didn't stick up for my coach when they asked the question last week.
Yeah.
So this week when you ask a question, I'm going to stick up for my coach and say, in more terms, be more demonstrative and saying, listen, Kevin Stefanski is my coach. It's not my job to answer questions about the aggressiveness or not the aggressiveness. That's the play call.
Why is it okay to ask other quarterbacks that same question? Because other quarterbacks have been answering the same question
here's the thing.
a million times.
Here's the thing. You can ask, this is the thing about the media. You can ask any question you want.
Right.
But he also can answer any way he wants.
Agreed. But then you can't be. But what I'm saying is, he can say whatever the hell he wants. But why would you act as if I'm saying his reaction to me was ridiculous because nobody was looking to get him in trouble.
When you are put in a position, and you got to look at it like this. When you're put in a position where, let's be honest, everything that has been written about Shedeur Sanders, you got to take in context. Like, everything that's been written about him from day one. Everything that, like the 5th round, the prank calls, all of this stuff. Like the people asking him, hey, do you disown your father? Is your father the reason you draft? When you got to take in context when people are asked these questions over and over and over and over and over again, and you finally get an opportunity to play, and all you want to do, and we told him before with Rex Ryan, don't focus on the football game and what happens on the football field.
Yeah, this was about that. This was about the
sometimes in the context of what's going on, people get tired of answering questions about stuff that don't got nothing to do with them.
But this had to do with it.
No, it has to do with the play call of the coach. He asked a question. Do you like the play call?
No,
he said, listen,
he was asking about, do you like him being aggressive more than the specific play call?
But guess what? That is on Kevin Stefanski. The reality of the situation is, at the end of the day, you can only control what you do on the football field.
Shedeur Sanders is an individual, right?
Yes.
If I treated Shedeur, if I had a bad experience, let's say I was a Browns beat reporter, right? And the last quarterback.
God help us all.
God help us all, right? And the last quarterback of the Browns was Joe Flacco, and Joe Flacco had been a real crappy guy to me. He had treated me like crap. I hated Joe Flacco. If I took that out on Shedeur Sanders, if I automatically, as a beat reporter, was like, screw Shedeur Sanders. I haven't met him. I haven't talked to him. But I'm going to be crappy to him because the last quarterback was bad to me. So I'm going to just assume all quarterbacks are asses. Is that fair?
No.
Okay, so if a player takes out his... Have there been some media members along the way that have been unfair to Shedeur Sanders?
Yes.
100%. 100%. But if you take that out on every member of the media, just assuming we're all evil, that's not fair.
I don't think he's assuming we're all evil. I'm assuming, and what I'm going by is, and when we have a week where you're asking these questions and you receive the questions
It was one question.
But the narrative, you got to understand. I'll tell you this: every single person that has ever came on this show, has talked about the narrative that Kevin Stefanski is sabotaging Shedeur Sanders. That is, hold on, watch this.
It's talked about because fans say it. That's it.
But it's the biggest storyline in the media today.
No, it's not. I don't think it's the biggest storyline. It's a ridiculous storyline.
But is that not a topic of conversation? Do we not talk about whether or not Shedeur Sanders is being sabotaged?
Whose fault is that?
Is it his?
No. Whose fault is it? I'm asking you.
Okay, so if that's the topic of conversation, and it's everywhere on ESPN, if it's everywhere on Fox, if it's everywhere here, right?
Yeah.
And everybody who comes on here talks about it. I've heard Mary Kay talk about it. I've heard Aditi talk about it. I've heard Ross talk about it. I've heard everybody who comes on here talks about the narrative that is dumb.
Well, we asked them about it.
Okay, so there it is. So if that is the narrative, and we know it, and he knows it, and he hears it, right?
Right.
Don't you think after a certain point in time, you're going to be defensive about any questions that move to the narrative that you have a problem with Kevin Stefanski? This called, I'm distancing myself from that.
But let me ask you this, G. Don't you think he would ask Dylan Gabriel that same question?
No.
I absolutely think he would.
No, you talk about Jeff Shedeur or what's the name?
Oh, not the Jeff Shedeur question. No.
The Scott question.
But the Scott Petrek.
Yeah, he would ask him that question.
Exactly. That's it's two separate things.
But here's the thing. We got to understand that Dylan Gabriel would have been asked that question, but he would not have been asked the same question last week. These things don't happen in a vacuum, right? Dylan Gabriel would not be embroiled in anything that has to do with him not liking Kevin Stefanski. That's not it.
I guess my concern is that, to me, that question was an obvious layup for Shedeur to look good. And I'm surprised that Shedeur, as I thought, I think of him as media savvy, didn't take that opportunity.
What I took it
instead, it became a negative thing, which it was, which I'm sure it wasn't intended to be.
You gotta think about it like this. Yeah. We can look at a lot of different things, right? And it's easy for you to pick and choose and say this was a layup, this was a layup, this was a layup. But when you are criticized for wearing backwards hats, when you are criticized because people take a look at you on film and say, why aren't you sitting next to Dylan Gabriel? When people criticize and say, you know what, I don't like you because your father did certain things. You can't look at those things in a vacuum and say, okay, well, he should just forget all those things and not be defensive about this. As him being a quarterback, Shedeur Sanders is in a position. Kevin Stefanski is his coach. When you ask, what is your relationship with Kevin Stefanski? He's his coach. He's a 23-year-old rookie quarterback, and that is his coach. At the end of the day, that's the person who's in charge of putting him on the field. He puts the game plan together, and I'm just out here trying to play. It is not my job. It is not my choice. It is not my decision of what happens. And I think that people are getting to a point where you're putting him in a situation where he has to answer to things that's not his responsibility.
And when that happens, that's not fair. I just don't think this is an example.
So, and you know what I said? Yeah. I said, if you go back and you ask him, would he probably say, man, I probably would. Rude might not have been a correct answer, right? Rude might not have been the accurate representation of what I wanted to say right there. Could he have said, you know what? My bad. Not rude. I just think that in my place right now as a rookie quarterback in the league trying to understand what we got going on.
Yeah, I get it. He's under a lot of pressure. And this is the last thing I'll say about this. And I don't mean to compare myself to Shedeur Sanders because there's certainly no comparison. He's got way more, a million times more coverage than I do, right? And I get why he'd be frustrated. I think some people along the way have been very unfair to him. And people have picked on things with him that they wouldn't pick on with other things. On the other hand, he does have a lot of people also going to bat for him, in some cases over the top, in my opinion. Just if I'm going to be fair and say, yeah, there's people been over the top negative. There's also been people over the top who have gone the other way. You know, anytime I've been in this game a long time. I had never been called racist, ever. And anybody that knows me obviously knows I'm not. Mm-hmm. I've been called racist a couple of times when not even knocking Shedeur, just for not kissing his ass. And I'm like, okay, well, this is just what I got to deal with. There are media members in Cleveland who are 100% taking it easy on Shedeur because they're afraid of being called racist. I refuse to do that because I, like everything else, will call it like I see it. And if people don't like that, I got to live with the consequences that come with it. And I don't know how this connects to Shedeur. I've confused myself here in the moment. The point is, like, I do know. I'm not going to allow, like, a few people calling me names or whatever, fat comments, racist comments. I know who I am, and so I'm not going to treat others crappy because of that. Now, again, it's not a fair comparison because Shedeur gets 7 million times the percentage of crap that I get. But I would hope that he wouldn't take it out on everybody because some are crappy.
I'll give you a cool example. Yeah. There's a point in time, this is part of it comes with it. Yeah. When Baker Mayfield was here and people started to say that Baker Mayfield wasn't good. Yeah. Or needed to be moved. Yeah. There was a whole big thing. If you said we named it a term, it was Baker Bros, right? Yeah. You know, it was a whole group of. So it comes.
I still prefer Master Bakers.
See, it comes with the territory. Like it's just if you say something about the quarterback, we're not even gonna go to Deshaun Watson. That whole thing. Yeah. Listen, that whole thing. This was other stuff put on it. I'll just say this: when you got to look at the context of what goes on. There's some people that hold grudges because even when he went and did something and showed up to a place where people died in a fire, people pulled up. I remember doing the show and I got emotional about it. And we'll give it to Super Chats or whatever, but I think this needs to be explained. When he pulled up and showed up for them people and them kids in them projects, there were people literally writing that it was a publicity stunt. That is,
and those people
that
should be admonished for
that
it.
is highly. You got to understand something.
Right.
For you to go to a disenfranchised place and to give of your time freely, and to do that with people that, frankly, people don't show up for them folks. Period.
Right.
You ain't show up. You ain't going to them projects. You not pulling up with them people and they lost everything. That community is disenfranchised. They don't got nothing, right? But if he showed up to that, I respect him because he would. Look, to me, let me just tell you this: he ain't got to. If he throw touchdown passes, that's cool. But if he throws some interceptions and he ain't no good, you know why I mess with him? It's because what he do for his people and what he's done in the community. I just said it the other day. Deshaun Watson, I bigged up him. Thank you for going out and giving them turkeys. You ain't the quarterback, right? I appreciate you. Shout out to them. I care about what you are as a person. So sometimes people gonna get a little in their feelings when you write that stuff, and you're gonna be a little defensive. We gotta realize he's still a 23-year-old dude. The way the pressure and the things that we putting on him and Dylan Gabriel and all that, we just said Brian Hoyer. Brian Hoyer is now able to sit here and talk about that today. But some of the questions that he got, it was very difficult for him to deal with. All I'm saying is, at the end of the day, let's realize that these guys are under pressure. He'll have way more time. He'll have a lot of other conferences, press conferences to go to. Sometimes he's going to say things he probably shouldn't say. Sometimes he is. But always remember this, too. Sometimes he don't control his relationship with Kevin Stefanski. And I want people to stop trying to act like it's Shedeur versus Stefanski, because Shedeur is not saying that stuff. He's going to practice doing his thing. You deal with the outside noise on the outside. That has nothing to do with him. And I think that's the frustration level and the way he answered that.
All right, we'll leave it there. Good conversation. Go ahead, Mike.
That was. We're only going to get to a couple Super Chats because that went a little long, but that is okay. Super Chats brought to us today by PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss out on any of the excitement of this sports season, whether you're following the NBA, NFL, or both. There's no better time to jump in on the action than right now. Download the PrizePicks app today and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineup after you play your first 5. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. All right, guys, let me fly through as many of these as I can because we got quite a few and we have 4 minutes to do so. Miss Bell says Stefanski needs to be gone. Take Jerry Jeudy with him. Sir Charles said good leaders in every organization know how to cultivate young talent, how to mentor, be a voice, military, sports, corporations. Young people need help. Stefanski fumbled coaching Baker. He might be fumbling Sanders. How does Stefanski, with a resume of 6-23, never had a top 10 offense, lack of leadership, where other teams like Chicago, New England, Carolina all have new coaches and have turnarounds? People say Stefanski will have a job if he gets fired ASAP. Is it because he's a company man? St. Salvatore says, love UCSS, and my condolences are with you, G. I'm so sorry for what happened.
Oh, man, appreciate you.
Mr. Rick Secker says, spent a month overseas and within 10 minutes walking around Edinburgh, Scotland, I ran into a fellow Browns fans. At least the fandom still survives. Set Apart Laz says, is this the game where they have Shedeur throw 50 passes? Brody's Bottom Line says, Bull and Mike, nobody was open on 4th down, so who was he going to throw to again? Mr. Rick Secker says Myles Garrett is proof extraterrestrial life exists. There's no need for congressional hearings about UFOs or disclosure. Just watch Myles Garrett play football. Brody's Bottom Line says this is why Kevin needs to go. JB Hoop says it took SGA, Durant, Kevin Garnett, and Dirk 9 years to win an MVP. Give Evan more time, at least 2 more years. He has another level.
No, he doesn't, but we haven't talked about that today.
Man, I thought we was going to get to that.
Night. He played awesome last night.
It took SGA 9 years. He's been in the league 9 years. What are you talking about?
Next one.
Those guys were superstars long before 9 years. That's ridiculous.
Track champ, the last 2 games, Tillman has shown he's not even going to try. It's time to get rid of him. Set Apart Laz says Drake May and Caleb Williams were good in their first year. Brody's Bottom Line says Kevin doesn't like Shedeur. You can say what else you want. Trevin Whitaker says the playbook is bad. The wide receivers are bad. Shedeur gets a C. Jason, I'm lost for words at your take. The wind took the ball to Isaiah Bond. Relax.
I don't know what that means.
Miss Bell says, would Shedeur be playing if Dylan didn't get hurt?
Probably not.
Ellie Mars says, we know you guys didn't watch the game because his arm got hit. Brody's bottom line says
His arm
Jerry
did
can't
get hit,
even
that's
do his
true.
job, so he's out of pocket. This is why
We did
Denver
watch the
got
game,
rid of
but
him.
you're right. His arm did get hit on that flutter. But nevertheless,
I
Jason's
thought I thought he was talking about the other flutter.
There was two.
There was two.
One
yeah.
of them to Bond got hit. It still was a completion. The
Oh,
one
yeah.
deep downfield, I
The
don't
one
believe his arm
toward,
got hit.
Yeah, right,
that
right.
was incomplete, and like 3 guys touched
Yeah,
it.
Yeah,
that-
and then
He didn't get hit
Yeah,
on
he
that
didn't get
one.
hit on that one. That's
That
right.
was, I think, that was like 2 plays before the, I guess, the scramble play.
I know the play. His
Yeah,
arm did
yeah,
get
yeah.
hit.
I
That's
know,
not the
I
one
know
I'm
which,
talking
I know
about.
which play he talking
He ended
about.
up completing the one his arm got hit.
Yes.
Yeah.
It ended up being like a 13-yard
Yeah,
pass
that wasn't
to
the play we were talking
Bond.
about.
Sly says Judy was open a lot. 12 wasn't throwing it, but it's like Shedeur said, it just takes time on task. A-Class says G. Bush needs to keep it 100, keep that same energy with Gabriel. I like Sanders' potential, but come on, man. That sack, that slide, that float ball, come on, G. S. Zoop Loop says Gabriel's fiance saying everybody wants DG to play. Deion Sanders Jr. is liking posts calling for Stefanski's firing. This is a family circus. I'm ready to move on from everybody.
I didn't know about either of those things.
I
The
ain't seen
Gabriel
none of that.
fiance thing happened during the show. We could talk about it in overtime in a sec because we got to go.
Okay, go
We'll
ahead.
talk about it in overtime.
Yeah.
Peace. Talk about Little Ohio State and Dylan Gabriel's fiance's TikTok. In 2 minutes.